Won't you please come join me for some midnight therapy?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very important episode of Midnight Therapy. This is the return of Mike the Barber. He is back and better than ever. This is a Christmas Festivus episode. He will read his own ad read as last time. I mess it up every time. He's here, so he won't mess it up.
It sounds fantastic when you read it. I love when you do my ad read.
I do it in a way that's, how do you say, not great.
Excellent?
Not great. A little bit, like in literature when things aren't perfect, but they're somehow a little better. Like a voice that isn't quite perfect, but it's like it has something about it. That's how I do the ad reads. You do it perfect.
Like if Dr. Seuss read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, as opposed to you reading it or me reading it.
Exactly. Dr. Seuss would puff Marlboro Reds. Did you know that? But not around kids.
They made cigarettes so sexy back in the day.
Well,
I don't care who was smoking it. The old ads, yes, a Chesterfield. 9 out of 10 doctors say it's good for pregnant women.
It is. I mean, remember Barney and Fred? They were smoking.
Hey, Fred, let's go back and smoke cigarettes while the women do the dishes.
Yeah, he was like, I hate seeing them work so hard. And he's like, yeah, let's go out back so we don't have to see them.
Yeah,
remember that?
But aside from the cavemen of the Flintstones, you look at some of the old television shows. There was a designated lighter on the coffee table, a designated lighter in the office desk, a big desktop lighter. There were Lucy's. They would have these special, it's like a miniature cigar box just filled with Lucy's.
Yeah.
And anyone who came in, yes, have a cigarette. And they just made it look so delicious. When the ladies smoked them, there was just something so elegant.
The cig holder, the big long one.
No, that's getting a little cartoonish now. Not that Cruella de Vil wasn't hot.
She was hot.
She was hot. But I'm just talking about the average lady that you would see in the black and white television shows in the 50s, just smoking a cigarette. It just looks so elegant. And when you see it now, like fast forward to the 90s when Married with Children, the television hit series Married with Children, they made it look trashy. And by today's standards, if somebody's smoking a cigarette on a TV show, it's not even allowed. But if they were, it would look trashy.
It's sad that happened, because remember the cars, like the vehicles would design the ashtrays into the doors, like Cadillac. Every door had an ashtray. You had a lighter. It was like such a thing. Like you just were going to smoke. There was no option.
As a man getting close to his 60s.
That's crazy.
And I'm wearing this ridiculous hat.
That looks like you're being birthed from a penguin.
Birthed by a penguin, which harkens back to our last episode we did together when a nun sat on me. And I just realized that.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
And now a penguin is sitting on you again.
And it's sitting on me again.
It's engulfing your head.
Except I could breathe and... But I'm old enough to remember being on flights where there were ashtrays built into the armrests of the chairs.
How cool.
And somebody could just sit back on a U.S. Air flight to Fort Knox, Kentucky, as it were, and light up a Marlboro and just smoke.
That's a nice time.
Previous to that, I remember working in restaurants where you could have your meatloaf and mashed potatoes and put your cigarette out in the mashed potatoes when you're done eating.
The gravy.
And send it back, and you could just smoke in a restaurant.
That's the coolest shit ever, though.
I worked in Sugarman's. Did we talk about Sugarman's? I can't remember.
We may have. My father worked there. Everyone worked there.
What department? Probably music.
Maybe music. I'll have to ask him. He might be on the pod soon. Tony Cat, shout out. I knew Sugarman's as the stinky, shit-smelling flea market.
Oh, the dirt mall.
Yeah, I didn't know it as the heyday. I knew it as a place.
No, that wasn't Sugarman's. That was the building formerly known as Sugarman's, but the big sign still said Sugarman's, so everyone referred. So yeah, it was a department store that was way ahead of its time. It was in Island, Pennsylvania. If you're not local and watching and listening to this, and it was massive. Anything you wanted to buy retail was for sale, from clothing, sporting goods, hunting, fishing, boats, lumber, pharmaceuticals, television, appliances, accordions. You could buy a puppy. You could buy a puppy, rifles, bullets, anything you wanted. And you could walk around and smoke
How
in
cool.
every one of those departments. Lottery tickets. They had video games. I played Asteroids and Space Invaders there.
Fucking awesome.
And you could smoke in there. I worked in sporting goods. I used to drill holes in bowling balls and sell skis
Well,
in the 80s.
On that note,
How did we get off on this tangent? What were we talking
this
about?
episode came out hot, just so y'all know. We got right into
Came in
bowling
hot.
balls and skis.
Where were we starting?
This all started with, I don't know. I don't even know how we got here.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
Flintstones.
Barney. Things being better. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this while we're still on this. This is ADHD. We'll get back eventually. We will circle back. But
Midnight
you
Therapy.
lived, this is Midnight Therapy. Welcome back. Sorry we came in so hot.
Oh, cigarettes. Yes.
Cigarettes are hot.
Cigarettes in the armrests of the flights. And as a barber that goes back to the 80s, and I'm going to give myself the plug, Three Saints Barber Shop,
There it is.
nowhere in the heart of historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania, one of the only shops around still giving the straight razor shaves, hot towel lather, full service. But I'm old enough to remember in the 80s, the barber chairs had the ashtrays built into the armrests, and the barber always had a giant ashtray and one of those designated lighters on his counter, and he would have a cigarette. The guy in the chair would have a cigarette. He'd have a glass of wine on the side. It was old school barbering.
Fucking ash on their head.
Well, yeah.
Fucking bald guy, you stick it right in.
You just hit it with the duster.
Yeah, dust it off, put the little white powder. I was a barber for 3 weeks.
I miss you.
Miss you too. Might be back. Might be tentatively, maybe. We'll see. Here's the thing. You lived in the best time. I always say that. People from your time, it was the best time ever. I could go on forever of why that's the case. The music, the lifestyle, the prices, the lack of, brain rotting technology and just good relationship building. But I will say your relationship, even with cigarettes, is better than mine. The only cool thing that ever happened with me and cigarettes was Levels, which was Tinks in your day. I would go into Levels, which was a shitty nightclub. No offense.
Oh, hey.
No offense,
Yo.
They would allow you to go if you were 18, but you couldn't go to the alcoholic section. You had to sneak into the alcoholic section.
Can I stop you right there? There
Please
was a
do.
club in Wilkes-Barre called Amnesia, and they used to do the 18 and over crowd.
That's Bill Cosby's club.
And their big ad would be 18 to come, 21 to swallow.
Again, that's from a different time.
That was the radio ad. I didn't make that up.
You
That
could
was
never do
their
that
radio
today.
ad.
You could never do that
18
today.
to come, 21 to swallow. And it meant you had to be 21.
That's nice.
But go
That's
ahead, I'm
creative.
sorry. Levels.
All I was going to say is you would be at this terrible, sweaty nightclub, and you would go to the bathroom where someone would always be shitting for some reason. Always. You would smell it like a horse barn. But there'd be this man, a nice guy, and he had this Easter basket filled with cigarettes, a little bit of cologne, condoms, rubbers, who knows how long they've been there, all different sizes, pills like Advil and ibuprofen and Adderall, and maybe a little bag. Who knows what he had? But I would always buy a double shot of Axe off of him.
Ooh.
Give him $1, but give me that Axe. I need it fresh. I need to
See?
powder up.
That's no.
But he would also sell Lucy cigarettes. He would
Mhm.
sell you one for $1, and he would go, please tip. He'd go, please, I have a cat at home. He didn't have a wife and kids, of course. He had a cat he had to feed, and he said, fancy feast. He used to say, my cat only eats fancy feast. I really don't make enough. So I would give him an extra $1.
For the wet food.
For the wet
He
food.
likes to have the wet food.
But that's the only cool story I have about cigarettes.
See, in my day at Tinks, it was a multi-level entertainment compound. In the basement, you had darts and pool. On the first floor, you had a venue that was large enough to host some of the larger bands on the East Coast, and I can't remember their management company, but bands like You, Big Orange Cone, Bliss, of course,
Bliss.
and
Tragic ending.
and they're still playing. Oh, never mind. And
The band is.
then there's a second kind of mezzanine that was like a balcony that wrapped around, and you could look down and watch the band. And I know when some
was
hardcore
cool.
bands played, like Strangers with Candy, which ultimately became Breaking Benjamin, a buddy of mine is related to the band, so he was up on the balcony. He would backflip off the balcony into the crowd. There's video of that on YouTube.
That's fucking awesome.
And then up on the third floor, which was my domain, was the Wiggy Wiggy room, I called it. It was and you just went in there
The jam.
and you just I was always hyperactive.
Were you grinding?
Well, I didn't grind, but I just danced like a prick, just jump around and have fun. And girls were out there, guys were out there, everybody was having fun. There was cages, the girls would get up and do
I remember the cages.
grinding in the cage. And towards the end, you go downstairs and catch the band, and there'd always be like, there's always some girls down there that was like, it was getting close to closing time, and they're playing the slow song towards the end, and they just wanted a fella to sway with.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being a single guy, you're like, I'll sway with the ladies.
Of course.
And they'd have, and I still remember, you could smell the sour alcohol on their breath mixed with a Pall Mall.
Mixed with a little garlic.
Or a Marlboro menthol.
Did you ever get a little what they had for dinner in there? Like a little pierogi?
No, it was usually like a Velamint. Those were the mints of the days, a Velamint. And a menthol cigarette, maybe beer, a bourbon, and
you never got
it. And it was like at close to 2 a.m. And you know the drunk people at 2 a.m. when they just repeat themselves like,
yeah,
I don't know who you are, I love you. Do you want to know something? I love you. And then they grab you and just start making out with you. And I'm like, this is great.
What a different time.
I love 2 a.m. at
Can't do that anymore.
And there's that smell of cigarettes always stayed. It wasn't a bad thing. But, you know,
see, you had
making out with strangers. You can't do that now.
You can't do that now. You don't know.
I'm married for a long time, and I'm out of that world. Can you make out with strangers?
You could. Yeah. Your likeliness of a cold sore is higher.
Never had those.
Yeah. And you never know what you're getting into. I mean, I remember, you know,
the level of crazy that you're getting into. Yeah.
Being honest, I remember often the breath would smell like dinner. Like I'd be like, oh.
So where are you hanging out?
I think I went out to
You're hanging out at the Legion?
I went out like 6:30.
You're slow dancing at the VFW.
Like if you go out too early and they don't like Listerine that out, you're like, oh, did you have rollatini tonight? Like you smell the parsley. It's odd.
Back in the day, you didn't go to these places. You didn't go out there till like 10, 10:30.
Oh, it's pre-COVID. You got to remember, I'm COVID. I'm a product of COVID. I graduated college.
What does that have to do with what time you go out?
I'll tell you exactly what it has to do. I used to go out before COVID in my heyday when I was in college at the Marywood University. When I did a lot of crazy things that I mentioned before, but I used to go out all the time, and we'd go out around 10 and we'd get home around 3.
Nice.
After COVID, no bar stays open till 2 anymore.
You're right.
They close at 10. So you got to go out at like 7 if you want to get 3 hours in. So it's a different world. That's why I used to smell the food because they had just eaten. It's different. You lived in a better time. You got home at 3. You got a girl's number. It was written on a napkin. Now it's just a bunch of nonsense. You're like, could I Snapchat you? And then she got 400 Snapchats that night. She didn't even remember who you are. You Snapchat, you know what the conversation is? What's up? What much?
WYD.
What are you doing? Eating an Uncrustable. Nice. Grape or strawberry. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. You had it like, I met this girl, got her phone number, called her on the phone, but then you married her. And that was it. Like, that was a good life. That was a good life.
There were nights we went to Manhattan at least once a week.
New York?
New York. We would hit some of the biggest clubs on the East Coast at the time. Webster Hall was very touristy, but like quieter clubs that you had to be in the know, like the Tunnel, the Sound Factory, the Limelight, which was an old, I think it was a Lutheran church or a Pentecostal church. These big, beautiful arches, stained glass, and you went inside and it was absolute debauchery till 5 a.m.
That's awesome.
Till 5 a.m. And you would see acts it was just DJs, like just EDM type music, and people just ripped on ecstasy and God knows what else, and just tearing it up.
Quaaludes.
I don't know.
They were popular back then.
That was the 70s. What's a Quaalude?
Lemon drop.
Is that upper or down? I don't even know what a Quaalude does.
I believe that's what Cosby used.
I thought he used a roofie.
No, everybody thinks he used roofies. I think he used ludes.
Ludes.
Zip zop zoom the bop.
Yeah, but and then so you leave there at 5 a.m. and it still feels dark, and you step outside the Tunnel or the Limelight or one of these places, and it's the sun is out, and there's people in
sun
suits.
Come up? Yeah,
there's people in suits on their way to their office, ladies in business suits, and you look like you just crawled out of a gutter because you've been jumping all around all night. You smell like spilled drinks and cigarettes and God knows what else you got in you. And then you get home at 6 or 7 and you take a quick shower and go to work. No,
You don't
no.
do that.
I go home at God knows what time. I sit at the dining room table. I read and fall asleep and go to bed.
Isn't it weird how that happens?
I'm old.
Me and my best buddy Eric, we used to call it public shame. We used to like embrace that public shame like entity, and that's, you just described it perfect. Like when you're leaving a club at 5 a.m.
It's the walk
and
of
then there's
shame.
people coming to work and you pass them. That's called public shame. You're like, "What's up, buddy?" You're like fucking sauce on your face, shit face, and that guy's like just trying to make money
Yeah.
and provide for his family. And we go, "Can I get a cig?" He goes, "What the? I'm trying to go to work." That's public shame. We used to love embracing that like mischievous entity.
Mischievous.
Mischievous. What a great opening to this podcast. This was completely off script. What is a script?
Do we have a script?
Not really.
I'm completely raw dogging this podcast. I came right from work and we're jumping right into it. So you hit me with the topics and I'll do my best to chime in.
Well, because it is Christmas time, we're going to talk about Christmas a little bit. And then we're going to talk about some current events as always, but not too much because I've been telling my giant fan base that we're keeping it light until the new year.
I'll keep it light for the holidays.
Yeah, I don't want to think about the world ending until December or January, rather.
When does that happen?
I don't
never
know.
mind.
It's coming. It's definitely coming. Any century now, this planet's done for. But for now, I want to get your opinion on Christmas movies. That's been the topic of a lot. I was at a trivia recently. I called you as my phone a friend.
Was that phone a friend? Because I felt kind of bad. Like, am I helping this man cheat? And I don't feel comfortable with that.
I will tell you a quick.
But you were like, quick, answer this question. What was? I forget what the question was.
I only called because it was, what was the name of the magician from Frosty, and he does look exactly like you. So I wanted to call and see if you knew the name.
He looks
and you
nothing
did.
like me.
It does exactly.
What was his name? I forget already.
Professor Hinkle.
Professor Hinkle
Was it? And you knew it because you probably looked it up. And it did help me, but I still didn't win anyways. But I have been thinking about Christmas movies, and there was this drunk woman who you very well know. You've met her many times, and we're not going to say it to the camera, but her and her daughter were at a bar once, and you were speaking with them about their life, and they were there.
Oh.
And I thought they were like super skilled at trivia because I was saying the questions out loud and they were answering them all.
How could they be super skilled at trivia? We were asking them questions about themselves and they couldn't answer.
So that be it may, she knew Duncan's toy chest.
What?
Was the name of the toy store that the robbers were going to rob from Home Alone 2. And I said, wow, I got to give this girl credit. But then I realized she was just looking it up on her phone.
That's allowed on trivia?
No, I
so.
didn't do it. So I said, whatever. I didn't look it up.
So they won?
No, they weren't even playing.
Oh, all right.
They were doing this. Like, do you ever see people like they text like that?
Yeah.
They were looking.
They're the same people who get on their phone like this, and their arm is straight out sideways when they talk.
Hello!
And it's like there must be like an antenna in their elbow. You ever see those guys?
I do like that, though.
Yeah.
That's a nice. Talk to me.
Talk to me. And the phone is always bent out like this.
What's up? But they were doing that, and then as they would say the answer out loud, I would just, kind of write it down. Is that cheating?
That's being resourceful.
Yeah, exactly. I said that.
That's not cheating. That's winning.
I said that too. And every time they were just very slow. I was like, can you look it up quicker? But that helped a little. You helped a little as well with that. But Christmas movies was the topic of trivia. So I wanted to ask you, do you have any favorites? I take you as a Bass guy.
I am a Rankin Bass guy.
Are you a Bass guy?
I mean, everybody, there's the age-old debate about Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie? It absolutely is 100%. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, it is a Christmas movie. Doesn't matter if that was its intended purpose when it was written, produced, directed, but it is a Christmas movie.
All right.
Not my favorite.
It's not as jolly.
But you have to bring it up. You have to discuss it. Let's put that aside. My favorite Christmas, I can't stand the Peanuts, by the way.
Why do you not like them?
Every one of them is a basket case. That is the saddest show. Even as a kid, I'm watching this. I'm like, what's this kid's problem?
What's wrong with Charlie?
He's depressed.
We all are.
No.
Yes.
No. And even if I was, I wouldn't want to watch a show about other depressed children. I want to watch a show that brings me joy.
I like Lucy.
like Die Hard.
Lucy was always scamming. I like that. She was like taking advantage.
She was a narcissist. You know,
like
every
that.
one of them had a mental disorder. The only cool cat on that show was Snoopy and that little bird.
Are you saying that being a lesbian is a mental disorder?
Woodstock was a lesbian?
No, Peppermint Patty was.
What?
You know that.
No, I didn't know she was a girl.
She's a girl.
I didn't know that.
Well, she was.
It's an androgynous. I thought it was Peppermint Pat. You know?
No, it was Patty, and she liked the assistant.
She had a voice deeper
She
than
called her
yours.
sir. Remember, the assistant was like, "Yes, sir."
That's why I thought Peppermint Pat. See, the pronoun then
It was a lesbian thing.
I didn't know that. I
Yes.
thought Peppermint Pat was a dude.
They never said Peppermint Pat once.
Well, Peppermint Pat, Patty, like
No.
in the Irish.
Mike, Michelle, is that the same?
No, but in the Irish neighborhoods up here,
Patty.
if somebody's name's Patrick, they go, Patty, me boy. Patty.
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day. So Pat, wearing green, I figured I was the Irishman. And you got Marcy saying, sir.
She had sandals.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So does the dude from, what's his name? With the sweater.
Jesus.
No. The other dude. The one who had the weasel in the bathtub nipping at his...
The dude, like the Big Lebowski?
That Lebowski guy. I can never
some
remember
people
his
say I
name.
look like him sometimes. What? Yeah, sometimes.
You had that sweater on, you did.
Mm-hmm.
But for me...
What about Pigpen?
He was a cool dude.
He was stinky.
Yeah.
He had a
stanky pussy. I don't know where that comes
That's
from.
one.
That's
on the count of you saying that. We got one this
that
episode.
is an old favorite comedian of mine who used to say that. Otto and George. He was a ventriloquist. That's the universal sign for ventriloquist.
We know one.
And he used to say that word, and the puppet would say it that
What
way.
word was it?
Pussy.
Oh, what does that mean?
I don't know. And I did some stand-up comedy, and let's just say I know a guy who did some ventriloquism with a speculum. You know what a speculum
please
is?
explain to the audience what that is.
A speculum.
They don't know.
If you Google it, speculum is the device that a specific doctor would use to examine a female. And
Female what?
vagina.
Ah.
Vagina. And it would go in and it would open, and I don't know how it works because I'm not a doctor.
You're not a gyno.
But yeah, a gyno. But a comedian I know
Gyno.
kind of glued some yellow feathers on the top, and it looked like Woodstock, and it had some little googly eyes, and the duck had a bit of a speech impediment, and it was a puppet.
See how it all circles back to the Peanuts. That was a Woodstock reference.
It was a duck, but
this is an educational program.
The thing would say some horrific stuff. But what were we talking about? My favorite Christmas movie.
Not the Peanuts.
Not the Peanuts. But it's a classic. Here's the thing. Even though you didn't like it, you put it on because it's on. And you waited for Snoopy to come on. And that was like the comic relief. And Snoopy came out. Everything was fine. He was the hero of the Peanuts gang.
I will say, though, just real quick, during the Thanksgiving one, why, I don't know. Why did they cook... It was like popcorn.
Because they were 6 years old.
And toast. It was like toast. But then they had...
That's what they could make at
So
their
they
age.
couldn't make that, but there was also ice cream sundaes.
Ooh.
Now, how'd they do that?
Well, they what?
I mean, they couldn't
It's
afford
easy.
anything
How
else,
old
but
were
they had the
Peanuts?
ice cream. I don't know.
I don't think it was about finances. I think, well, maybe it was.
It probably was. That's why they served the subpar food. And then at the end, Snoopy and Woodstock eat the bird, and Woodstock is eating his own kind. It's a cannibalism. He's eating a turkey.
Wait.
You remember that? Look it up. At the end, there's like a post-credit scene where they actually had real food in the doghouse.
See, now this whole suspension of disbelief gets shattered here because I'm trying to be realistic, saying, well, they're children and they can't afford, and they maybe can't use the oven because they're children. But at the same time, we're talking about a dog and a bird that actually roast a turkey.
And killed German World War I pilots.
Did they?
The Red Baron.
The Red Baron.
That was his whole thing.
That was a whole Christmas song.
Yeah,
The
it
Christmas
was.
bells.
Yeah. We had a team called the Red Barons around here, which is so weird. Imagine naming a team after a World War I pilot.
A German pilot, no less.
Yeah, in Scranton, PA.
Now, was this German pilot from Scranton?
Was he? I didn't know if it was. I just thought it was weird.
It's just an odd name.
Weird name.
The Red Barons.
So, anywho, what's your favorite movie?
I like the Rankin Bass ones. Those are the
He's a bass
claymation.
man.
And their mouths they kind of move like this. I'm Mr. Heat Miser. Like, but there's something you watch those to this day. Is it till this day or to this day?
To this day.
To this day, with childlike wonder in your eyes. You know what's going to happen. You could recite the shows, but it's like, again, a tradition. When those are on, you have to watch them. And I love the Heat Miser, the Burgermeister, the Rudolph, all of those shows. Even that Munch, what was his name? Hermie?
Yeah, that dentist.
Hermie
the dentist.
Yeah, he was an odd
I like the
character.
Winter Warlock.
He was pretty cool.
Choo choo. Remember how weird that was?
Do you remember that guy? What was his name? The guy that says very nice. Borat made a comment about that. Do you know the comment?
No.
He was talking about his sister, which was actually his wife.
Oh.
And he said, she is very loose. Her vagine hang like sleeve of wizard. Because the Warlock used to hide the trains in his sleeve.
Was that a reference to
that was a reference to the Winter Warlock.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. Her vagine hang like sleeve of wizard.
There's a lot of
very nice.
There's a lot of jokes and comments about that topic tonight, and I did not expect it.
About what topic? Children's beloved Christmas shows?
No. The other thing. But I like that. I like that we're keeping it spontaneous here.
And what I liked about Rankin Bass especially was it's got to be one of my favorite songs, the Heat Miser, Snow Miser.
Which one do you prefer? Because the Snow Misers is more upbeat and the tempo's quicker, but the Heat Miser, it's like lower. It's got the brass section.
They both, it starts out, they tickle you a little bit with the Snow Miser song. And it's got that ragtime piano sound. It's a little peppier and speedier, but it still has that low driving bass line from like a tuba.
Yeah.
Ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. And then, he does his bit, and then they go see the Heat Miser.
Yeah.
And he's a little darker. It shows this volcano out in the middle of the sea. And, he's the bad dude. And the whole tempo slows down, and it drops an octave, and it's ba-dum, bum, bum,
volcanoes.
And it's got that dirty, bluesy sound, and you're like, fuck yeah.
It is.
This is cool. The dude. Now,
he is cool.
Go back to the debates with Biden and Trump. And I know I wasn't going to do politics, but...
Well, we already started, so might as well.
You put the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser together. Don't they look like Biden and Trump?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Can you imagine them singing those songs? Can you imagine changing those lyrics?
Because life is so crazy, I wouldn't even rule it out of the possibility. I think that could actually happen in our lives. I'm not kidding.
With AI, of course.
With AI. No, I don't know. Well, maybe you give Biden a little medicine and he's peppy. He might be able to pull it off. Speaking of politics and Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
Everything that he sniffs. And then Trump's going to be everything that he touch. Grabs her crotch. Ba-dum-bum-bum.
That's the theme of this episode. Why is it the theme of this episode?
Well, I had to give equal time to each candidate.
What are you, ABC?
We're fair and balanced. Who says that?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. Speaking of the claymation, Rankin Bass, and politics, I thought Tim Walz kind of looked like a claymation character. His mouth was very similar. It was very dark, his mouth. It looked like a hole.
I'm trying to think of what cartoons would do that. And I think it was the Peanuts.
Yeah, like
the head would stay still and just the mouth would move. So they could use the same, what do they call them, cells when they were drawing cartoons?
There's a term. I know in animation they have like a ton of different mouth gestures of different sounds you produce.
And sometimes the ratio or the proportions would be off. And like when Lucy would scream, "For crying out loud," Chuck, the mouth would almost be bigger than the face.
Yeah, that's Tim Walz.
And that was Tim Walz.
You didn't see teeth or a tongue. It was just a black hole.
Yeah.
Cat Matthews has a song called Black Hole. Look it up, please.
Is that about Tim Walz?
It was not at the time. But I believe art is in the Eye of the Beholder.
See the tampon miser?
Some have called him that, I think. Somewhere out there in Twitter, there's probably a comment.
The tampon, because one likes the tampons and the other one doesn't.
I think it's where the tampons are located.
In the vagina?
No, I think it's if they're in the bathroom or not.
Oh.
And what bathroom they're in.
Gotcha.
Was the debate of that. He lost his own state and county. Just wanted to say that. To move on.
All right.
I too enjoy
Rankin Bass.
I'm a bass man myself. They do hide them from us. I was at Walmart the other day. They had a DVD collection of them. It was like $50. I thought that was nuts because who even has a DVD player anymore? But when you want to watch those on TV, you can't. Unless your grandmother calls you like December 1st and tells you on ABC, Heat Miser will be on. You will not be able to see it on TV.
What are grandparents like? I don't have them.
You had them.
No, I didn't.
Never?
Never knew them.
They're nice. You see them once in a while. They give you Werther's Original candy.
I'd love to have a grandparent. If anyone out there would like a grandson who's 56 years old, please call me.
Is there a Grandparents' Day service like that where you could rent a grandma or grandpa? That'd be cool. We could invent that for the lonely old folk. They could adopt like a fake
But I want a
grandson.
good one. I don't want one that complains and talks about her arthritis. That's my
But
job.
that comes with the territory.
I want one that gives me Werther's Originals and sticky lifesavers from her purse and
Well, it used to be this little candy jar. And it was there for years.
Just agrees with you and just yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're a good boy.
I had that. I still have that. My grandma's very nice. I just saw her today. She always has the Werther's Originals out.
Did she tell you when the Rankin Bass shows were on?
She does. She calls my dad, and then my dad tells me. My mother
There's
actually
a chain
will
of
call.
command.
My mom calls me. Shout out to my mom. She'll call me and tell me Heat Miser's on.
We'd like to call our shop the Land of Misfit Toys.
Speaking of that, good segue,
And
Mr. Mike.
And it's not a bad thing. Just let me.
What does
just
misfit? What does misfit even mean?
It just means that like anybody is welcome to come in. There's a lot of shops that are cliquey, and I don't mean around here. There's some great shops around here, but I know in some city areas they're very cliquey, and you have to be part of their clique, and it's a cult of personality. Does that make sense? Like where our shop is, like we don't care if you're 6, we don't care if you're 100, 50, 30, 20, whatever. You're going to come in and you're going to have a good time. Where you treat everybody the same. It's not like, well, you're not cool enough, so we're just going to ignore you. And that goes for our staff as well as the head misfit.
Yeah, you are. You're like the lion. You're that Moonracer guy.
Like everybody's welcome, and we want everybody to feel comfortable there and welcome there. And there's a place for everybody there. That's our clubhouse.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
But yeah, you were saying about Miss.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that, but before I do, the ADHD is cooking. I wanted to ask you one more thing about Heat Miser and Snow Miser. Remember their mom, Mother Nature? Remember?
I remember
she broke up the dispute.
That there was a character. I'm going to continue. I'm going to see if I can find her.
Oh, look her up, because a lot of people thought she was quite hot, attractive, that is, when they were young. I don't know. Did you? Did you think Mother Nature was a little hot in a weird way? Like
this one?
Yeah, in a Dolly Parton kind of way.
I don't know. Dude, her nose looks like a dick.
Well,
I hope the camera picks this up. This is what you're finding attractive.
I never said I did. I said a lot of people did.
But usually when someone says that means you did.
Somewhere I read.
Did you ever find Bugs Bunny cute when he dressed up like a girl bunny? Me neither. No. That's the thing from Wayne and Colton Wayne's World. But this is who he's talking about. I was thinking of the wrong character. No, I never found her hot.
Now hear me out. Hear me out. You know how this works.
She's got a mouth like Tim Walz.
She does.
And a nose like a penis.
All those characters have a mouth like Tim Walz. She has the same nose as the bird on her head.
She does.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's a theory, though. Do you remember Father Time from the Rudolph New Year one? Look that one up. Did Mother Nature, and this is a question to the audience, was Mother Nature a partner with Father Time? Like, were they a couple?
Oh,
I feel like that's just the thing.
Why are you thinking about beloved characters like that?
See, I had that little streak of red. That makes me think he's Santa Claus's dad.
Oh,
see that? See, Father Time. I'll pull up.
He looks more like the Winter Warlock, though. Doesn't he?
Maybe they're all inbred in the Rankin Bass universe. But I'm saying Father Time was with Mother Nature. They had Heat Miser and Snow Miser. This will one day be Greek mythology for us. This will be American mythology. They will find our records after the Great Reset, and they will think we worship those claymations. They will think that Heat Miser was a god and Snow Miser was a god because there was little Christmas decorations of them left behind. You know that, right?
I do know.
So I just want to let you know that.
All right.
That's how history comes on. Speaking of the Misfit Toys, to keep this train rolling here, there was nothing wrong with the doll. They all were fucked up. Like the wheel of the train had like square wheels.
Right.
The gunshot jelly, which I thought would be kind of cool. I'd like that. A
I'd
gun
like a
that shoots. I would shoot
jelly.
that. I'd go, oh, boom.
They call that shooting ropes, right? Or is
I don't know.
that's something else?
I think that's something else.
When they shoot ropes.
That's definitely something else.
Right.
There was some other ones like the fish was an owl or something.
No, it was a bird, but he couldn't fly because he could only swim.
The cowboy was on an ostrich. Remember that?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
But
with
what's
that.
wrong with the doll? There was nothing wrong with the doll.
Yes, there was.
Tell me.
Yes, there was.
I don't
It was.
believe
It was very controversial, and again, I'm going to throw my age out here. In the first season, and on the VHSs, and on some of the episodes that used to air back in the 70s,
Okay.
the doll's problem was she cried real tears.
That's a problem?
That was a problem.
It was voodoo.
And it was the only female figure on the Island of Misfit Toys. And I'm trying. Let me see if I could get this correctly. They had to do some editing and change it a little bit because some girls and some women wrote in, and they thought, why is she a misfit because she shows her feelings? Why should a woman not have feelings? And back when this was written in the 60s,
Women
there
didn't
was
even
this,
have feelings.
the mentality was, I guess, women do your thing and you don't show emotion. It doesn't matter if you're happy or sad or whatever. So they changed it, and they didn't really say anything. And then years and years later, I think in the 90s or 2000s, they interviewed Mr. Rankin, maybe, or Mr.
Bass.
I think it was Rankin. And he just said it real quick. Well, she had mental problems. She had depression. Because and then they ran with that thing that, well, not all issues are visible. Now they made it an internal issue, which I guess is a quick way to recorrect the ship. He didn't want to say, well, back then women weren't allowed to show their feelings. So they re-corrected the boat quickly, and he said, well, she had, maybe she was manic or had depression or anxiety, and that's why they changed it.
Well, that's odd.
Did you know that?
I didn't. I thought it was just, like, I know these are, like you said, the peanuts, you're trying to apply real logic to it, and you really can't because it's illogical, but I want to apply logic to these things, and every time I watch, I was like, what's wrong with that doll? Now I get it.
Did you ever notice what happens at the very end of that during the credits?
He's throwing them over.
And
it's crazy.
And what else is when he throws them over? Do you remember what they're attached to?
Parachute, like a parachute.
A little parachute.
Yeah.
All but one. Do you know which one wasn't connected to a parachute?
Was it the bird?
It was the bird, because the bird was a bird. He wouldn't need a parachute. But what he wasn't thinking is his misfit diagnosis was he was a bird who couldn't fly.
So Santa did kill that one.
So, well, was it? Yeah, it was the elf.
Or the elves, those background character elves.
That evil-looking elf just dropped it, and the thing just plummeted to its death.
What a gift!
So somebody woke up with a dead burnt bird in their chimney.
But it was like a deformed.
Like, what is this? A fish?
Like, what is this? It probably ended up in the Barnum and Bailey Museum.
Yes, it's that, and that's and that's how that Little Mermaid thing came to be, because that's probably what it looked like.
It probably is what it looked like. I like that. The whole show was weird. There was like a winged lion on this island, and there was all these misfit toys. Like, where'd they even come from? Santa was kind of a dick in that show.
Yeah, and when you were a kid,
you didn't realize.
You didn't realize it. It was just fun. Look, they need a reindeer that could fly, and then like the 2000s happened, and then you're starting to look at it and like, oh, maybe she has depression, maybe she's manic, the doll, and then you're like, well, Santa's being mean. He bullied that reindeer. Santa's a dick. Because, he was a misfit.
Do you remember he yelled at the dad, Rudolph's dad? He was like, shame on you. He had potential.
Yeah, what did the dad do?
He had a kid that was messed up.
He just had some bad seed.
What do you think he did that night to make that reindeer have a red nose? Something weird. You know that.
What do you think he did?
Something. Something had to happen.
Reversed.
You know what it was?
Is there a certain position that will yield that result?
I'll tell you what it is. Red dye 40.
Red number 40.
RFK is getting rid of it.
So you're saying he used flavored lube
No.
on Rudolph's mom, and that red dye 40 got in there.
Correction. I never said that.
Well, all right.
Maybe he had just eaten a peppermint that had red dye 40 in it. I don't know why you had to go there. Why'd you have to go there?
Well,
I never talked about edible lube.
No, but you said on the night that he was conceived, what do you think happened? And you said red dye 40, which immediately our mind goes to.
Does it? That's where our mind goes to?
My mind.
Sex jelly?
To
Sex jelly?
Rudolph's dad used the red number 40 jelly.
You know, we only used Rudolph once. That stormy night. He never used him again.
Is that true?
Yeah, it was
How
only
do you know?
on then one foggy Christmas Eve. One foggy.
But that's the one where he took his maiden flight, his initial journey, and that's when Santa realized, there's merit to this Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We could use him every night in the event. Hey, it might be cloudy over Singapore, but it's clear over Japan, and we're going to need, it's a good backup.
It is, but when you have that red light in the sky, you may look like a drone and get shot down by somebody in Oklahoma.
They are shooting at drones, aren't they?
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. You don't need that. You don't want to draw attention to yourself if you're Santa with that glaring red light. So I think it was a one and done. It was like a Make-A-Wish.
I don't know. I see it on the decorations. I still
Not always. There's only 8 reindeer.
Took me a long time to understand why some of them were female according to their names, and they still have horns.
Don't the females have horns?
And then I found out that in the reindeer world, some females grow horns.
Females are horny too.
But how come the bucks, the white-tailed deer, those don't grow antlers? Only the female reindeer grow antlers.
It's a different species, sir.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird.
It is a little odd.
It's an identifier.
It feels odd to see 2 horned deer having sex. That would be weird. Nothing wrong with it, but it'd be odd. That's not how I see it. You know? In the deer world. I'm just saying. If I saw 2 bucks bucking, it'd be a little odd.
I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, well, it's probably on the internet. It's probably on X. Shout out to X. Weird stuff on there. I think that concludes the Island of Misfit Toys. We can move on from that one.
Really weird.
Did get a little weird. This is an odd episode tonight. I hope you're all enjoying it. Tell me about this thing you informed me of. I had not known about it until you told me. There's what's the term for drunk Christmas caroling?
Karaoke?
No. It's something else.
Oh, there's a tradition called a wassailing.
Can you spell that?
Wassailing. Wassailing. And
wassailing, the word of the day.
And when they refer to it in old-timey songs, they'll say to go apostrophe wassailing. Wassailing.
Oh. There it is. That's the third one, I think.
A wassailing. And it was referenced in a lot of old-timey Christmas carols. Traditionally, it is done on the 12th day after Christmas. And it means to go visiting and going door to door and spreading merriment and joy and food and drink and caroling. And that's 12 days after Christmas. They used to extend the holiday. A lot of the holiday happened after Christmas as opposed to before. And I know you and I debated on this many times about when the Christmas season starts and or ends. And I'm going to tie in Rankin Bass with that because you said it was a very special time. They do gatekeep when they air those shows. When I was a youngster in the 70s,
whoa,
you were able to watch those shows. You were on vacation from school from Christmas Eve right through till the day after New Year's Day. And that week was the magic week. You could play with your toys. You visited family, cousins, and they came to visit you. And there was always cookies and treats and eggnog. And all this other stuff. And on television during that week were always the Peanuts, all the Rankin Bass specials, Frosty the Snowman. And now they air those like around Halloween time. When you're not even in the mindset yet. And then now when you relax and all the preparations have been taken care of, now it's time to relax and enjoy the holiday and you want to put something on. There's no Rankin Bass
They're
Christmas
they're
specials
playing like Easter Bunny stuff already.
right?
Yeah, but you know they got the back to school stuff up before the kids get out of school.
That's just
I
wrong.
swear that we are so commercial now. It's just consumerism at its max. But you're right. That is the time. Once the holiday's over, you want to relax on the lazy boy, have a little bit of leftover, Christmas dinner. You want to have a little bit of leftover cookies, and you want to watch a little Rankin Bass. What are you looking at?
I'm looking for your Frosty. Do you have your Frosty?
Frosty's not up. I have
Frosty's not
the
here?
elf up for this episode.
And yeah, I just mentioned Frosty the Snowman as
Oh,
one
here
of
we
our,
go. Don't even bring
our,
this
our
up.
beloved.
I can't believe this.
Mm.
Audience, get ready.
When you think of Frosty, what do you think of his face? What does he have on his face?
I know the answer. Are you going to? You want me to explain?
Well, what is your answer?
So Frosty, technically, is kind of an anomaly. But when you think of a snowman during winter, you think of Frosty. But a snowman has a carrot nose. Okay.
And the most popular song about that character, Frosty the Snowman.
Yes.
The only song about a snowman that I know,
Named Frosty.
named Frosty. He has two eyes made out of coal and a button nose.
Button, but it was not
And
even
a button nose stinks. Who would a big black button for a nose with 3 holes in it? It's got a flat face. You want a carrot on there. It makes it look more like a face. It's the character we know, Frosty.
But the button, he didn't even have a button nose in the show. It was like a red tomato.
It was a tomato. It was like a Rudolph nose.
Yeah. So I think that's all just a lie, but I don't know. Like when you see a snowman, you want to always give it a carrot nose. We didn't have full-size carrots in the house when I made a snowman this year, so we used celery.
Ew.
Is that okay?
No. Christmas is ruined.
A little segue here. This is just a little sidebar. When we were at the bar, I was working at a bar, Jack's Pub and Eatery. Shout out, another sponsor of the show, friend of the show. You were there this past week, and I was talking about Jack Frost on the last episode, the beloved show, and Mike so kindly informed me that there was another Jack Frost. Look this up, where Jack Frost is evil, and I think he sexually assaults a woman with the carrot.
There were 2 Jack Frost movies, and the words might be a little different in the titles. I don't know if you could have 2 movies with the same name. One is
Might have been Jack Off.
One is about the poor child. His father dies, and he's reincarnated into a snowman.
What I like.
And you could kind of predict what happens in there, because spring comes, etc. But there was another one with Jack Frost, and he's a snowman, and he's a bad snowman, and spring doesn't come, but Jack Frost does.
Okay.
Okay. And he removes, and if memory serves,
I don't know if this is true, by the way.
He SAs somebody with his carrot nose. And that's a different Jack Frost. So imagine going to rent back in the day.
Do you know?
Going to rent a movie thinking it's an adorable film that you watch with your family at Christmas time, and you see the evil Jack Frost.
Do you know I have a vivid memory of that, going to Hollywood Video, Dixon City, with my parents, and I wanted the Jack Frost movie, and that one had remember the holographic cases where if you turn them, it was like that. It was a normal case, and then when you turn it, it was like the evil Jack Frost with the teeth, and they're like, that's the wrong one, and we got the right one. But I remember it vividly. It's a scary-ass movie.
Yeah, Jack Frost 2, Revenge of the Mutant Killer Snowman.
It's like Killer Clowns from Outer Space a little. Same vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was Jack Frost, and he's an evil-looking...
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, he almost looks like a gingerbread man.
Yeah.
On there.
Not good.
Like
not good. We don't want that
during
the Christmas time, I'll tell you. So that's drunk Christmas caroling, wassailing. Now, what do you think would happen if we did that mid of January, showed up at a house, knocked on the door, drunk as shit, started singing?
In our neighborhoods?
Yes.
I think it would be fine because people know us. In other neighborhoods, you'd probably
would we get killed?
Not have a good time. I mean, if we're holding those nice glasses of eggnog and we're wearing the festive... Yeah.
What if it was Bush Light and we were singing Creed? Would that work?
I don't want to say on YouTube how I feel about Creed and what they should do if you knock on their door singing Creed. Not a fan. I know you are.
Well,
I'm not a
liked them
fan.
a little.
Uh,
Not too bad.
yeah, I don't think that would go well. I think they would call the police on you.
Well, that's all right. What are they going to do? It's
You like
not illegal. Love eggnog.
What is nog?
I was going to bring eggnog up to you because it's like, what is it? Is it just like cholesterol in a tub? Is it just eggs and sugar? Because it does taste quite good.
This kind of launched in the same way last month when we did a podcast. We talked about No Nut November, and you looked at me and you said, "What is nut?"
What is nut? I still want
is nog?
If you know, please comment. What is nog?
It's No Nog November.
No way. I could never go with I got the Manning's nog.
What is it? Eggs?
It's like 4 dozen of eggs, sugar, heavy cream, and maybe a little bit of cinnamon.
Oh, it's delicious.
It's so good.
It's so delicious.
It's like suckling the teat of Mother Nature herself.
Yeah. You can add some to your coffee.
You could add whiskey to it.
Or you could add whiskey to it, Southern Comfort.
Bourbon. It goes down quite good.
What's that purple stuff? Chambord.
Yeah?
You ever have Chambord? It's like a real sweet liqueur. It comes in that round bottle with the crown on it.
That's Royal Crown?
No, it's Chambord.
We had this liquor called Vanique.
I have a bottle.
And it was all glitter.
Yeah, you spin it and the glitter swirls.
I think it got banned because it was like poison. Like you're not supposed to drink glitter, but we used to love looking at it.
Yeah, you twist the bottle and shake it. Yeah, and it was in a giant pyramidical.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Pyramidical?
Pyramidical.
A pyramid-shaped bottle.
It's very nice.
A round pyramid.
Round pyramid. No, I'm a fan of nog. I guess it's not good for you. I mean, who knows what's good for you anymore? They say eggs are bad for you, eggs are good for you. I don't know. I like eggnog. It's raw eggs, I guess.
Is it raw?
It is. Like the eggs aren't cooked. You're not cooking eggnog.
They're not. There can't be raw egg in eggnog.
It is. I'm telling you, it's like 12 raw eggs, heavy cream, and cinnamon. That's what it is. And you just chug it.
How is that allowed? You remember Orange Julius?
Oh, I just talked about Orange Julius.
They used to have an option at Orange Julius back in the 70s and 80s.
It was in the heyday.
Where you can add a raw egg to your drink. Did you know that?
Why?
And that was what made it that they'd put the raw egg in there and they'd whip it in that orange deliciousness strawberry. And it just gave it a frothy, fuller taste. And they said they had to stop with the raw eggs.
Because of salmonella?
Because of a salmonella.
Orange Julius, Long John Silver's, and Red Robin need to close. There's no reason for them to be open.
I'm not a big fan of chain restaurants.
There's no need.
But there really isn't. But I do love the fish and chicken planks at Long John Silver's.
When's the last time you've been there?
They're never open.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, you loved them one time, but you probably haven't loved them in 30 years.
Eggnog is
stanky.
Egg milk punch.
A flaming rum punch.
Egg yolk, sugar milk, heavy cream.
I told you.
I don't know if it's raw.
It's raw. How do you have a not raw egg? Was it a scrambled egg in there? What's it, a dippy egg?
Poached
egg.
You don't say dippy, do you?
No, but
you're not a dippy
from
guy.
Nipa.
That's not a Nipa thing.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, Orange Julius used to get you could add 35 cents. They'd add a raw egg to it.
I don't know if you caught the last podcast, but I went a little bit of a rant about the blizzard.
And I don't understand that. You have to turn it upside down?
That's the thing. It's supposed to never fall out of the cup. That's the thing.
I thought you the way you said it, they had to turn it upside down. I thought maybe that was to mix.
No, they do this. They get done, they go.
I never had it. What's it called? A blizzard?
A blizzard. It's supposed to be so thick it doesn't fall out of the cup.
I thought blizzard was McDonald's.
No, that's a McFlurry. And I also had a qualm with McDonald's because they advertised spicy nuggets and didn't have it. The big sign said spicy nuggets. I ordered them. They go, ugh.
I would do the same thing.
What? I'm just saying.
I would have done the same thing. I would have called them out.
We have to.
There's a giant billboard there. You got to hold people accountable.
But you know how many people just say, "Oh, just let it go."
No, I don't let it go.
You know what I'm saying? You can't let everything go. You have to
ask. I'm not making a scene. I'm not like those people on YouTube or.
No.
I demand my French fries come out extra crispy, no salt, and hot. Like. But if they're advertising right there, just take the billboard down if you don't have the item.
I want to teach people. I want to say,
You're
listen.
An educator.
Yeah, I want to say, listen, you have a false advertisement out there. Care about your job. It will reflect the rest of your life. You know, they say, like, you quit that team, maybe you quit the rest of your life with baseball. I wanted to tell that kid, if you keep lying to people, you're going to work here forever. That's what I wanted to say to him, but I didn't. I said, you're going to work here forever.
See, you're doing the world a service.
I am. It's just, I want you to get out of here. I want you to be honest. I want you to say, sir, I'm so sorry. We didn't realize the sign was out there. These fries are on me. And here's a Grimace Happy Meal toy.
And it's not like it's coming out of the kid's pocket. That's
It's corporate.
it's corporate
McDonald's.
money.
Who cares? Just give me the fries.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Anyways,
I don't know if anyone noticed. I have this awesome chicken lamp. See it? And I won this at a white elephant party. Did you ever play white elephant?
why is it a white elephant? Like, why do they
Probably
call it a white elephant?
systemic racism or something.
Well, I didn't mean the color. I mean, like, why is it an
Oh.
elephant?
It has nothing to do with elephant, but I will tell you, speaking of color, this changes with the remote. See this? Every color.
See, now
And it even has a fuchsia. See this? Watch. Look at that. Changes.
hold it up on end. No, the other end. Like this. No, this way. No. Like, so the egg is hanging down. Now angle it this way a little more. No, like this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what I'm wearing now. You see, like, my head is the egg.
Yes.
These are the legs of the penguin.
That's what we're saying.
And this is the bird.
Your head is this ball being birthed from the chickie.
I brought another one if you want to wear it.
I've never
We-
worn
we-
anything but a cowboy hat.
We could be penguin brothers.
Eskimo brothers?
Penguin. I don't know what that is. Is that weird? Put the hat on.
What is Eskimo? What is Eskimo?
They live in igloos, right?
Igloos?
Don't they?
What's an igloo?
It's an ice house.
What's a bathhouse?
Put the penguin on.
Through the magic of editing, I now have the penguin hat on as well. Please admire it. I've never worn a different hat on the show until today. I only wore cowboy hats.
The power of suggestion.
I do like this, though. I feel like this egg being birthed, and it feels kind of good. I want to get it all fuchsia. See that? Look at that. See how it changes? Quite nice. All right, now that I am properly hatted, I want to tell you about the white elephant and how I won this. So, if you don't know about a white elephant, it is a game where you buy a gift with a price limit, usually about $25. You wrap it. You don't say who brought what. You put it in a pile. You get a list of numbers you pick from a hat, sort of like this penguin. And whatever you get, and it goes in that order. You pick a random gift, you open it, and then the next person can steal it, and so forth.
Oh, is that called a Yankee swap?
I don't know. Is that offensive?
That was, well, it was on The Office, so it's impossible for it to be offensive. But
Okay.
yeah, it's like a grab bag.
Mm-hmm.
But then if somebody else grabs out of the bag without opening their gift, they could say, hey, that guy got a laptop and I got a chicken that lights up. I want to switch, and that guy has to switch with you.
It's
But then the
probably
next
similar.
guy could switch with you. It's
Yep.
called Yankee swap.
That's how it works. Then it is probably similar. We had a rule that if you are number one, because you get to pick first and you get the shittiest hand, you have one opportunity at the end to swap.
So who determines who's won? Is it like
If
a
you
blind draw?
pick a number out of the hat,
Okay.
1 to however many people participated.
Gotcha.
So I participated in one, and I want to bring this up because I thought it was quite interesting. Do you know what one of the gifts were that someone opened? It was a shoebox, and when they opened it, there was a rotisserie chicken in it.
A prepared rotisserie
Cooked,
chicken.
prepared rotisserie chicken in a bag.
That's great.
Do you think that'd be a good gift?
I can eat an entire rotisserie chicken. That was my first TikTok live, actually. I gave myself a straight razor shave, and then I ate an entire rotisserie chicken. Didn't say anything. I just sat there and ate a rotisserie chicken.
Okay.
But yes, I would think that's a great
Would
gift.
you keep that? You wouldn't, like, would you try to get something else?
I don't know. It's 20. Well, I thought the limit was $25.
I think
They went all in with $4.99.
there was
for
a gift
rotisserie
card attached also underneath the chicken. They found
Okay.
that out later. But isn't that weird to find a chicken in a box wrapped? It's quite odd.
chicken. And how do you know? Like, was it a store-made rotisserie chicken,
It
or did
was
somebody
like a-
roast it in their own home? Did it come?
No, it was a bag. It was a preservative-packed Sam's Club one.
Okay, so they spent $4.99.
Mm-hmm.
I like a chicken.
I wouldn't want that as a gift, though. That's not a gift. That's a meal.
That's a meal. It's the gift. A gift card for food is a gift.
I get it, but is it not a little off-putting to open up a rotisserie chicken? Now, I was at another white elephant earlier this year. There was a more bougie, fancy one, and there was a bottle of Fireball that someone won, and you have the opportunity to steal to the very end. And somebody, there's a microphone involved. There's a host. There was like 50 people in this one. And the guy goes, they're stealing the bottle of Fireball. And at this faculty party, the people that had the Fireball had drunken the whole bottle already.
Wait, faculty?
It was a faculty. It wasn't my work.
It's somebody's faculty.
It was like a faculty party I was invited to say the...
So through the course of the white elephant, they
were chugging it. And then when the person wanted to shit, it was gone.
So they can't trade then, right?
Well, no, it's an empty bottle. So they ruined it. You should be disqualified, never play again. But what I'm saying is, what if I had ripped the leg off of the chicken and ate it, and then someone wanted to steal?
See, that's tempting, because when you smell, did you ever smell a rotisserie chicken?
Even just today I have.
It's delicious.
And I would
How
never...
could you not just pull a leg off?
I would never wait. So I'm saying I don't think food should be involved. Food or drink should not be involved in a white elephant. But nonetheless, I did get this chicken somehow or another, and I think it is a quite great gift, and it will be a part of the studio. This is giving me a little bit of a headache now, so we're going to switch it back to that. Stagnant color is better. But you ever have any luck with white elephants?
I've never been involved in a white elephant.
Well, we'll change that. We'll get you in one. I also play, every year I host around Christmas. It's a very divisive game. It's called the spin wheel game, and I love spin wheels. I use them for everything. We used to use it to figure out where to go to eat every night. We'd put a bunch of restaurants on the wheel, spin it, and that's where we'd go.
Who decides the restaurants? Both of you collectively?
Wherever we'd like to go.
Your favorites, she picks her favorites.
Yep, I'd throw one respin on there just to leave it up to the house, and that would be how we determine everything. I made every major decision in my life by the spin wheel, I think. I would do yes or no for questions. I would go red or black at the casino, on roulette, everything. What drink I wanted. I let it do everything. So during Christmas time and other holidays, we all put our name on the spin wheel. We throw $5 in, and we do elimination round until it's the last person, and then they win all the money. It's phenomenal.
Explain that to me.
So there's 50 people at Christmas, let's say.
Okay.
Put all their names on it. We display it on a big TV. Spin the wheel, it lands on you. You're out. You've been eliminated. And then we keep going until there's 2 names left, and the last one wins all the money. For you to get a spot in the spin wheel, you got to put $5 in.
All right.
You wouldn't believe the amount of anger this game causes.
Anger?
Yeah, when you get out. But I, being the generous man I am, allow $10 buybacks once we get down to the final 10. You get back on the wheel. Pretty fair, right?
That seems fair.
And then when it gets to the final 3, I allow $20 buybacks.
So the pot keeps building up.
Pot gets big, baby. It's a fun game. So I was hosting that also at this party. And these people, they're good people, you know who you are. They didn't believe in tipping the host. Thought that was a little rude.
What?
I should have got my $5 back.
The host? There should be a throwback to the host. It's like if you're hosting a card game, every couple of hands goes to the house to cover,
my expenses
and necessities.
My throat lozenges.
Your throat lozenges.
My throat. Well, I think we've extended as far as we could on Christmas.
I don't think we have.
You have any more about Christmas?
There's one beloved character that just hit me. Mr. Hanky.
From Family Guy.
No.
Simpsons.
No.
South Park. South Park.
I know
who he is.
South Park.
He's a poop.
He's Mr. Hanky. And he comes around, howdy ho, and once a year and brings joy to all the children of South Park.
Would you like that?
He's the unsung hero of Christmas. Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh.
The Christmas Pooh. That's quite nice that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Speaking of poo, how often do you poop solid?
You ever take a dump at Sam's Club?
Yeah. I thought I was going to get murdered in a Gander Mountain once. Remember Gander Mountain?
Yeah.
I was taking a shit, and this guy was like making noises next to me. I thought he was going to kill me. It was way in the back of the store. I was like, I don't like this. The light was flickering. I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead here.
And nothing happened?
No, he left. But like, you know how you're in the stall? You're like defenseless. You can't get up.
And he was just lingering
like,
there?
He's like, mother, I'm going to show them. And I'm like, oh no.
And you were just trapped.
Yeah, I was trapped in the back of Gander Outdoors, which is out of business now. But I do remember that. That's why I don't like pooping in retail stores.
Yeah, I don't. I like to be at home in the comfort and privacy of my own home. I was at Sam's Club today, and they have that kiosk machine. Do you go to Sam's Club?
I do. I'm a member. That's the only country club I'll ever belong to.
The they have this machine, and you scan your card, and it'll dispense a sample. Sometimes it's a protein bar, a granola bar, a pack of gum, and today,
What'd you get?
there's my receipt.
Is that a condom?
This is, well, I thought it was dude wipes.
You know why they exist?
No,
Because shitting yourself is a more common occurrence now than ever before. And it being messy is a more common occurrence than ever before. So you need
that red dye number 40.
It's red dye 40, it's chicken nuggets, it's mac and cheese. It's all the delicious preservative autoimmune causing disease food we love. Well, then you won't need the dude wipe.
But I do like French fries.
Well, they're fine. It's just potato. That's just potato.
I like some greasy French fries.
I don't like them greasy. I like them really crisp.
Well, they're all greasy, but I do like them crisp. Salty.
I like a crisp fry with hot sauce.
Are you a crinkle fry or a straight fry?
I'm a curly fry.
Curly?
Yeah, they're quite good. Our school, if you know where I went to high school, used to have they were like curly fry soup. That's how much grease they were in. It was just like in a vat of grease, and you would get them, and everybody would eat them. And they would love them. And they were like in soup. That's how greasy they were. They were disgusting. But I remember that vividly. They were red. They were like red curly fries. Pretty disgusting.
Can I tell you a story about a restaurant? It's now, I believe it's closed.
Okay.
And they used to, and I don't know if I ever talked to you about an infinity bottle of whiskey. You know what an infinity bottle of whiskey or an infinity barrel is?
We just keep adding.
You keep adding. So there's clubs. Imagine this was a larger vessel, a carafe, or even a barrel or a full-size barrel. And if you have a whiskey club at your house or local establishment, every time the fellas come over, there might be, you might have a bottle of Jack with this much left, a bottle of Buffalo Trace with this much left, or whatever.
Or a little bit of a Bud Light.
No, it has to be whiskey or bourbon, or even Scotch. And they would just add it to the barrel, swish it around, and they would lower like a shot glass or a little vessel of some sort and taste it that way. And it changes every time, but it never empties. And there's a guy in China, I think, that has soup that's a couple 100 years old. Soup or a stew, because every night it stays in this big, what do you call those?
Cauldron.
No, the metal, the cast iron.
Skillet?
Yeah, those cast iron. He has a cast iron, what are those black ones called? The cast iron skillets. Is there a name for those? They're very collectible.
Griswold.
Yeah, but is that what they're called? Is cast
Frying pan?
Yeah.
I guess.
And a jumbo cauldron, and they just add to it every day. The fire stays lit, and they just add more meat, add more vegetables, some water, and it never ends. Well, there was a restaurant locally called the Caruana.
Ah, the wiener place.
And they had these French fries that were like no other. I don't know if they par-fried them first, the French fries, but they say, allegedly, and this is just urban legend, I don't know how much of it is true, when that place opened up in the 1800s, they never changed the grease. They only changed a percentage of it, maybe 40%, and then added fresh grease, changed 40%, added fresh. So there's always a little bit of that heirloom grease. And he said that was the secret to their French fries. Have you ever eaten at the Carolina?
I have. Very small place.
They had
unclean, but nice.
It was so tight.
Good chili dogs.
I could barely shoehorn my ample ass into those booths. You'd have to like wiggle in.
Carbondale, right?
Yeah, and the guy would cook right in the bay window in the front, and they had the chili dogs and the chili cheeseburgers.
Oh, it was
and the
good.
Chili burger, they would wrap it in this wax paper, and when they put it on the table and you opened it up, this is a weird segue, but it looked like a dirty diaper.
It did. I remember. It was so good.
So good. And you would dip your fries into the excess chili.
It was very liquidy chili.
You couldn't eat it with your hand. I mean, you could, but you were just going to make a mess. You just had to eat it with a knife and a fork.
A fork and knife.
Yeah.
I like that, though. I remember that. And speaking, I'm going to give another shout out. Down the road there, you ever go to Pinky's?
I love Pinky's. They have a chili cheese omelet.
They have a wet chili as well. It's very wet.
Very moist.
You can get extra chili on the burger. It'll be a plate. It'll be like a soup of chili. Did you ever get that? Get a chili burger with extra chili. The whole plate's covered in chili. And your burger's in the middle like an island.
Yeah, see, I would need
wild.
more bread to soak that up.
Well, that's why you got to
a
dunk
corn muffin.
Well, you could ask them for a corn muffin.
Yeah.
No, look at you weird. But what's that?
Corn muffin is typically cornbread.
Yeah, but you don't say corn muffin.
Well, nobody has cornbread around here, but everybody's got corn muffins, don't they?
No.
No?
No. Nope. Good chili. We'll have to do a whole episode on chili.
On chili burgers.
Chili's my favorite food, actually, I think.
Beans or no beans?
I like beans. I don't mind. I like a hot chili. What you were saying about that forever stew, though, that's like where witchcraft comes from. Like making soup, cooking is just witchcraft. Remember we talked about that? You're reading from an old book. You're putting animal parts and spices and herbs into a pot, and you're stirring it. That's witch.
And it's healing.
You're a witch.
And
it heals you.
Soup. There's something about the vapors. That's why chicken soup, they say, is good for you. Your face, you're hovered over that bowl, and that chicken steam is coming up into your face. You're breathing that in. It's good for your lungs. It's good for your throat. It's good for your sinuses. And it's very healing.
But you're doing witch stuff. You're like 2 cloves of garlic, a chicken breast.
Maybe the witches are just doing cook stuff.
Maybe we killed a bunch of people for cooking back in the day.
No, that was all fake. You know, the #1 selling book was the Holy Bible. I did a whole podcast on my show.
Do they sell Bibles, though?
Back in the day, they did. It was one of the first books. It was one of the first things that went viral.
The book of the Bible.
The Bible. When they started printing it, it was the first book mass produced on a printing press.
Yeah, Gutenberg.
And I'm gonna have to reference back to my episode on my show. I did a whole thing on it. But in order to sell it, they had to create a problem and then create a solution. Sadly, some of the problems were these women getting a little too uppity with their healings, and it was the old medicine and old religion. So they had to make an example out of those.
We must kill you.
And sadly, a lot of innocent women were tortured and killed horrifically.
Do you know why the patriarchy is real?
The patriarchy? Why is it real?
Because they never killed warlocks. Only witches. I never heard of a warlock getting killed. I never heard of a warlock getting killed. They
did. They just didn't bitch about it.
Did it?
They did.
Wow.
I'm joking, folks.
There's no women viewers on this show.
Not anymore.
If there was, they would have came over for the Christie Cup episode. But they probably left after the episode with you. And surely this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to have to do a little more research on that if more male identifying individuals were savagely tortured and murdered. And
yeah, did we ever kill any warlocks? If you know, let me know in the comments. If you know, like they know, like people know. How do you know?
I'll be a little more prepared on the next episode if there is a next episode.
There will be many more, I think. You're the best guest, I think. You deserve it. Well, the only next logical topic we could go to is killing healthcare CEOs. Luigi Mangione, he was very Irish. This kid, did you hear about this kid? He's not kidding. He's 26.
I heard something happened.
He, if you watch the news, is a hero.
If you watch the news, if you look at social media, if you talk to people in town, the ladies love, and a lot of men love the Luigi.
And this is so funny because it's like, I read that, Joker 2 was like a terrible movie.
I don't watch movies, so I don't.
All right, so there was a movie, Joker, came out. Joaquin Phoenix was in it. He actually paid decent homage to Heath Ledger's Joker. It was a great psychological movie. It wasn't even a superhero movie. It was just about like mental illness. Joker was phenomenal. But the reviews were that it like appealed to like sad incel men. And they didn't like it. So the next one, they made a musical.
What's an incel?
I guess it's like a guy that sits home and hates women and gets mad at a lot of things, as far as I know.
So a toxic
male.
Toxic male is an incel.
So just to reference modern culture here, they changed Joker 2 because they thought it was encouraging incels to do violent things to people that deserved it.
Like they need any encouragement.
And this only makes me think this is ideological persuasion or a psyop, because now they're saying, look how cool it is that this man murdered the rich for us. He stopped corruption through vigilantism, and they're playing it up like it's a great thing, even though they thought the movie would have been bad to encourage that very thing, which tells me something's messed up here. Do you think? Isn't it weird to idolize a murderer?
You and I get that people are very upset with the healthcare system.
Me too.
I'm a victim of it. Like you wouldn't
Me
believe.
too. I just got insurance.
I've had healthcare issues and bills into the six figures, and that's a whole other episode.
That is.
So I'm a victim firsthand, and I had a pre-existing condition, so I couldn't even buy healthcare. So I had to eat and I lost everything, just about everything, and had to start all over again. So I understand that. At the same time, in my opinion, it's a very slippery slope to encourage the assassination of an individual. And I know it has to be frustrating. And again, as a victim myself of said industry, you cannot be the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Yes, perfectly said.
It wasn't a case of self-defense, or if you felt as though it was self-defense, because a lot of people are comparing it to the subway guy. Well, how come it's okay for him to murder somebody? And there was a sense of survival there, immediate survival, and the safety of others in and around him. It sucks that he held that guy in that submission hold as long as he did. He could have lightened up, but if you're not there, if you've never been in a physical altercation, or you feel as though your life is on the line, and the guy's a Marine, there's a mentality with Marines. There's a line. The Marines talk about this line. Once you step across that line, it's all in.
Yep, and it's all in. Training comes back,
and that training comes back, and and I feel as though he could have or should have let up and maybe not killed him. But in that case, there was a sense of immediacy, something that needed to be done to protect those on that train car, including himself. With this healthcare worker, it was an all-out assassination. He hunted him down. It was premeditated,
100%.
To the point he wrote a journal about it. He put something on the shell casings, and he hunted him down and he shot him in the back. It was like a gangster killing.
Yes.
And he's being heralded as a hero to a point. I understand that, but again, if you don't control this, I don't know how you would control this.
I could tell you,
but you're going to have people, anytime they feel as though they've been done wrong by, they're going to take matters into their own hands, and we're going to enter into a world of lawlessness.
Yes.
On a level we've never seen before.
This experiment that we call America is the greatest one so far to govern, to be innocent until proven guilty with a jury of your peers. This is how change is made, through voting, through running for office. This is the best experimental government we've ever had thus far. I stand by that. To throw that all away and to murder anything, entity, or person you find corrupt sends us right back to the Stone Age. And we can't do that. And I'm telling you, nothing is accidental. So the media covering this in this light is fully intentional. They want you to be romanticized by this and maybe even encouraged to do so yourself.
Why?
Because you need upheaval for them to stay in business and for you to keep voting a certain way. They can only make you afraid of things or passionate about things if there are things to be afraid and passionate about. They're manifesting and fabricating issues so that you believe that you should take action also. That is what gives me a lot of, it brings a lot of concern to me that they're doing this, because I know there's 5 million people watching thinking the same thing. They go, you know what? If he did it and he went to an Ivy League and he had a good family, I could do it. I have nothing to lose. There's a guy who has nothing to lose right now watching that going, I'm going to do the same thing. Whether you like it or not, you're painting it in a picture that romanticizes this. Everybody likes the villain. I rooted for the Green Goblin when I watched Spider-Man. I just liked him. I thought he was cool.
Do you think that's the real reason the guy was executed?
I think
let's
unpack it. I'm going to be honest.
Because go ahead.
Well, let's get this up first. I don't even know if that's the guy who did it. I'm going to be honest, and I know that sounds crazy, and I know I don't look credible with this hat, but I'm going to tell you.
And that's why we're wearing the hats, because we don't want anyone to take anything we say seriously.
Yes.
So let me present this like it's
disclaimer.
It's a movie script.
This
that I read.
We are but comedians on a podcast in a basement. This is Midnight Therapy. I'm not licensed. I'm not a licensed therapist, and we are not mainstream media.
I'm just a barber. I'm raw dogging it here.
I'm just a transient hobo.
A what?
Transient.
Oh, and let's just say there's a movie script, and this is a conspiracy. Again, a conspiracy, and we do discuss conspiracy theories on here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's open this little box of conspiracy theories and pull out this one paper and open it up. And it says here that it was a convenient excuse to whack this guy for his handling of healthcare in this country. There are a number of people who believe that this guy, he was actually going to, and this is just a movie script. So let's write the movie script now.
This is but fiction.
This is but fiction. But this, what was his name? The healthcare CEO.
I forget his name.
See,
you have an infinite knowledge device.
We remember the murderer.
I remember Lee Harvey Oswald. I remember John Wilkes
We
Booth.
remember Luigi Mangione, but we don't remember the victim. Thompson. Was it Daniel Thompson?
Daniel Thompson seems right.
I just hit my microphone, but
that's okay. You can hit
it. Let's just write the script that somebody may have written.
Okay.
This CEO had some knowledge of insider trading with the former speaker. And let's call her Pansy Nolosi.
I'm dyslexic.
I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
And ambidextrous.
Naposi.
Her name is Pansy Pelosi.
Naposi.
Nolosi.
You get it.
Pelosi. And he was going to testify because he had evidence of this insider trading, and it was some pretty cut and dry evidence. And this Pansy individual had made millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Okay.
And this case would have exposed a lot of other misdoings. So what if somebody was radicalized enough to say, hey, Mr. radicalized young Harvard-educated young man
from a wealthy family,
aren't you? Let's take it back a little further. We find out that there's an individual out there who is radicalized and who hates the system, and he's very well educated, and he wrote some things. He liked Ted Kaczynski and reviewed his book at length.
Mm-hmm.
We need a patsy. So we're gonna make that guy the patsy. In the meantime, we're gonna find another guy who's an assassin, and we're gonna cover his whole face except for some very key eyebrows that are very unique. So you hire this key assassin,
like these,
and the only part of his face that's showing is the eyes, and he's got those key eyebrows and a handsome smile here and there where he pulls it down and then he covers it up.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes out and does his business. Bang, bang, bang. He also happens to be carrying a backpack that includes his manifesto. He signs his rounds, basically saying, here I am. I did it. I'm the guy.
Yes.
And I'm going to take off. This guy disappears, leaves his backpack and all the evidence. Meanwhile, they scan this and they're saying, wait a minute. I know those eyebrows.
Yeah.
That's Luigi Mangione. Luigi's like, hey, I'm pretty radical. I didn't shoot anybody. Holy shit. But I'm the patsy. So he takes off. He's on a highway, stops at Altoona, and a McDonald's employee taps him, taps the police and says the guy is here. Now he's going to be the guy. And this is just a movie script.
This is just a movie script.
This
But
is just a movie script.
I have some flaws with this.
He goes to jail, and he's very upset with what's happening, and he decides to unalive himself. The actual killer is out there. Any strings attached are cut, and nobody knows the wiser. The guy doesn't testify, and the guy who ends up killing himself is kind of martyred because, like, hey, he's a hero and he's handsome, and the ladies love him.
Yeah. Sounds good, but here's some problems with the script. For the script to work, you would have to, this is what makes sense, though, because this Luigi guy, you know, he was out, he was doing stuff on beaches, he was experimenting with mushrooms, he was a very interesting figure. He was a
Perfect candidate.
Perfect candidate. He comes from a very wealthy family, part of exclusive clubs, had no, you know, previous indicators of being mentally unstable like certain other shooters had in the past. This guy seemed pretty well off, he had a successful life ahead of him, it seemed.
Which sells the story even better.
Now, the only problem is I don't think he'd be able to 3D print a rifle or a gun of any sort, a firearm.
Who, Luigi or
this
the
Luigi
guy?
guy?
Exactly.
This is why I don't think he'd be able to do that, and I don't think he'd be able to etch those very specific words into the bullets that were intentionally left to be found.
Exactly.
That seems
why I'm
odd.
saying Luigi didn't do it. The other
and
guy
I
did.
think Luigi, being a not trained killer, wouldn't know how to evade being caught for so many days. That seems quite odd. You have to have a skill set to do that. And the worst part about this is that a McDonald's employee, which usually can't even get your order right, as I just said, they didn't even know the spicy nugget sign was out, but they were able to identify this killer by his eyebrows. Is that not odd?
No.
That the McDonald's was able to discover
and I'll tell you what.
a killer?
First of all, you just validated my theory even more.
The movie script.
The movie scripts theory, not my theory.
Not
but
yours.
When I say mine, the one I was just explaining. He would not be able to 3D print the weapon. He would not be able to etch those rounds, which further validates me that why the actual person did. He didn't have, the actual person who did it did. As far as the McDonald's ID guy, who knows? Somebody may have called and said, hey, listen, this is Lieutenant Catanzaro of the Pennsylvania State Police. Who am I speaking with? Well, I'm the French fry guy at McDonald's here in Altoona.
And really, it's a guy in a Lincoln. There's a CIA op calling in.
Saying,
yes, of course.
There's a killer on the loose that assassinated a city. Be on the lookout for anyone who might be passing through. If you see anyone with a gray hood and bushy eyebrows.
I think the killer just ordered a McRib, and I'm at the register. Please get here immediately.
For ordering McRibs.
Do you think he had a McRib?
He did, because he wanted the spicy nuggets, but they were out.
Well, see, that would have gotten, I could see why he was angry.
And that's what radicalized them. They were out of spicy nuggets. So on paper, on film, that would be a pretty cool movie plot, wouldn't it?
It sounds nice.
It's perfect. You have a patsy that takes the rap. He's going to unalive himself in jail because he can't take the pressure and realize what he's going to go through for the next several years of his life, in jail and trials and everything else. Meanwhile, the actual guy is out scot-free.
Dead man tells no tales.
A dead man tells no tales.
Now, what's interesting about your theory?
No, it's the movie plot.
The movie plot.
Not my theory.
You're hearing this first here on Midnight Therapy, just so you all know. The speculation and movie thought analysis. What's interesting is, as he was being dragged in cuffs into a building, he did say something odd.
What did he say? I
think he said, you're underestimating or you're insulting the intelligence of the American people. Remember that?
Yep.
Which seems it's almost juxtaposed to the Lee Harvey Oswald, I'm a patsy right before Jack Ruby killed him thing. It almost looks like the same clip, doesn't it? Like it is quite similar.
Did you see how they grabbed him by the neck and throat as soon as he tried saying that? And he was trying to say, like, do you think the people are stupid?
Yes.
Do you think they're stupid? Do you think they're going to buy this? And then as soon as he started with that, they grabbed him by the neck, they covered his mouth, and they pulled him in. And which, again, could add to that movie theory. Midnight Theory here.
Midnight Therapy. This is all therapeutic.
Midnight Theory.
Midnight Theory. That could be a spin-off show. Just for the people who want to do research, Jolly West, look it up. You know Jolly West, right?
No.
Okay, well, we can't get into that. It would take forever. But I'm going to give you 3 names. Jolly West, Charles Manson, Jack Ruby. Look them up. They're all connected somehow. And it might have something to do with this. But that's kind of what I'm saying with the Luigi thing. I don't know why everyone is martyring. Is that the word? Making a martyr of?
He's martyring. Yeah, they're martyrizing
this guy. It's
canonizing him a saint.
People are a little mad with the penny guy, the guy that choked the man out in the subway.
Right.
That's a tough one. I don't know what to say there. I understand this man that did die, unfortunately, rest his soul, was arrested 40 odd times before for similar incidents. He was creating quite a scene on the subway. I don't think this penny man wanted to kill him. I think he was restraining him. Maybe he went too far. Maybe he went back to his Marine training. I don't know what happened. But it's a lose-lose. You shouldn't have to chokehold people on the subway because you should act normal on the subway. You know, we should all be kosher. That word again.
It is. And again, to what I said before, no person outside of a judge and jury should be the judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly.
And this Marine ended up doing that. But again, it wasn't premeditated. He felt a threat. He didn't know this guy personally. He did what he can to protect the rest of the people on the train. Whether this guy had, and I think the number was 42 prior arrests. It doesn't matter if he had no arrests or 100 prior arrests.
Yep.
You know, as it turns out, the guy was a bit of a problem with the legal system, but that doesn't say he should be executed
in that fashion,
in cold blood.
No way.
But I do think it was accidental. I think the man was trying to do something. We see so many videos on social media of women being beaten in the street, just random acts of violence, especially in the bigger city areas. Men, elderly people, elderly women on buses, trains, subways. And everybody sits there, and everybody's either like trying to record discreetly, or they're just looking at their phone, trying to not look to get involved. And everyone in the comments, why didn't somebody do something? Why didn't somebody step up?
Well, this is why.
In Japan, I was just looking at some culture videos on the trains in Japan. It is frowned upon to do anything. Not frowned upon. Like nobody does it, and I can't explain. It is so quiet. You're not even supposed to look at your phone with the volume on. You're supposed to keep quiet. You're supposed to sit. Even those handhold things. It's not like a jungle gym. You see people swinging on them and racking them. If you have to hold on, the train is moving. But everybody's quiet. Everybody's respectful. And I don't know how they go about doing that. When you look at our trains, and even now some of our airlines has turned into the Jerry Springer show.
I know.
It's worse. It's like an all-out brawl on cruise ships, on train cars, subway cars, airlines. And how do we control that? How do other countries like Japan keep it so nice and enjoyable and friendly and courteous?
That is a song for a different day.
I watched a video of a woman taking a full-on dump. Can I say dump on YouTube? She took on a subway. She dropped trowel.
Whoa!
And she leaned against the pole, and she just started going, and everybody just gathered and ran to the other end of the train and tried to like get away from it because it was rolling everywhere.
That's not good. She got good fiber. At least it's solid. This was a turd.
There was a video.
At least it wasn't wet.
Of a family coming to Italy. What was it? Penn Station in New York City, where they get off the train from the airport and
hello New York, and it's just
there was a
guy shitting.
There was a woman greeting them, complete top off, most of her bottoms off, and she was just screaming. Now here's a tourist, a mother, father, and
from old Europe,
from Italy, going to see one of the greatest cities in the world, the Big Apple, New York City, their first time, and everything that goes with it, and all the magic of New York City, especially at Christmas time. And here's this topless, just woman screaming, "I hope you get shot, motherfucker! I hope you get shot!" And travels down the road a little bit. He's recording because he's excited, and there's a guy in a full squat, on the hood of a car, just taking a. That's right. Taking a dump.
I'm not mad though, because that's very real.
It is real.
I don't want these people from other countries thinking that New York is still magical. It's not magical.
It's always magical. It's still magical. It's just a little more dangerous.
Not without The pros and the cons.
I hope you get shot,
See,
motherfucker.
but that's honest. She was honest. You can't be mad at her for being honest. She meant what she said.
Well, maybe she should just not say anything at all to the tourists. But it's a
don't
free
know.
country, freedom of speech.
It's
I know.
a free country.
Imagine
that's
going to Europe and you don't speak the language, and you get out and you're just there, and somebody's like just screaming at you, like,
And they say, "Va fanculo, stupito putana,"
yeah,
and you're like, "Hi, how are you?"
exactly.
Yeah, I would just say, "Hi, what's up?"
Ciao.
I'm like, "Oh, Topless Beach must be nearby."
Right.
That's what I would think.
So I don't know how.
But that's the patriarchy too, because was this woman traditionally attractive? Because if a traditionally attractive, whatever that means, woman was topless greeting you, you would enjoy that, wouldn't you?
If she said, "I hope you get shot,"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not hot.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Tell
You
that
like
to
that? You like that?
There was a local business around here. I'm not going to mention the name, but I believe the husband was shot by the wife. Remember this?
No.
This is a story.
Who got shot?
It's a local business.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, and there was a scuffle, a marital dispute, and the wife shot the husband. And
On purpose.
And he lived, and they still stayed together. And I can only imagine she found it and he found it sort of, nice. Because why else would you stay with somebody that shot you?
You think they role played after that?
I guarantee they did. She probably even used the wound.
Got a rubber gun and...
She probably used the wound.
Wait, what do you mean used the wound?
Moving on.
Where did she shoot him?
She shot him and like she tried to kill him. It didn't work.
So how did she use the wound?
Finger, pinky.
You think she went...
Like later, I'm saying later. Yes, he's like, oh, stop, but don't. That's what I'm saying. We're getting off topic here. So psyops are real. Don't believe everything you see. You're hearing it here first from this fictional movie we talked about a little bit. Things are going to get a little odd. Vigilantism doesn't work. Cities are getting more dangerous. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you don't step in, you are a loser and not a hero. And if you do step in, you probably might go to jail forever. Sad time to be a caring person. That's all I could say, because you really are damned if you do, damned if you don't now. Speaking of odd things, what's up with the drones? There's a couple options. I'm going to tell you what I think, and then you tell me what you think. I think these drones, this is what people are going to tell you. You're going to hear that these are TIE fighters coming off an Iranian or Chinese mothership or Star Destroyer. They're going to tell you there's a mothership, and these drones are surveillance from China or Iran. They're going to tell you that one.
No.
That's option one. Option two, they are ours. They are American government to maybe be a little nefarious and be a distraction for something that might be coming up. That could be an option. Option three, that it's a private individual or individual company doing this from the U.S., because the Pentagon woman said it's not U.S. military, but maybe it's U.S. Maybe it's a private company that the U.S. deals with and has contracts with. Or number four, it's aliens.
Absolutely not.
Number five, bonus option, it's Project Bluebeam, and it's the government pretending to be aliens to make us frantic and cause mass hysteria. Out of those five options, what do you think?
Well, let's go down the list. The first one you said it's China, right?
Or Iran, with China's help.
Yeah, we know that China just granted Iran a bunch of tech. And I'll tell you why I don't think it is. If it were that, our government would know.
And shoot it down.
And they would take care of it immediately. Immediately.
Think of how quick we went to the Middle East.
Yeah.
Do you think we wouldn't shoot a drone down that was Iranian?
Yeah.
Of course we would.
So it's not that. You said, is it privately owned?
This is a company. Maybe it's like a, General Dynamics type company or
absolutely
something.
Not. Because if you look into drone laws, you have to comply with FAA regulations. Even if you get yourself a toy to enjoy in the backyard, you have to register it. You have to take what's called trust classes. I forget what the acronym is. But you have to understand what you can and can't do. The letters, the registration have to be clearly visible on the unit. If not, they can take it down immediately and investigate.
Do you not think they're complying a little with the green and red lights?
No.
That's our laws.
Here's the interesting thing. If they were trying to be discreet, they wouldn't have lights on them.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they're putting the lights on to get your attention. You see them, and they're like, "Oh, look at this! Look at this!" Now we're going to turn it off and create. We're going to create something
That teleported.
well, not teleported. It's creating a mystery.
Okay. Yes, suspense. It's like a movie.
So that's the third. What was your other theory? Aliens, absolutely not. I'm not even going to entertain that.
Aliens or Project Bluebeam.
Now, here's the most real, and I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert. I don't know, but I've read a lot of theories on this. There's a theory that we have a type of drone that scans areas for radiation leaks.
Okay.
And there were a couple stories, or it might be an old warhead that was misplaced from years ago when the former Soviet countries, Soviet Union countries broke up and became this stuff. Somehow a warhead ended up here and it might be leaking radiation, or it's a training exercise to see how quickly we could scan in a very populated area in the event of what they call a dirty bomb. You know, we're going into weird times and a lot of wild stuff is going to happen from the end of this administration into the next administration and from there on. This is like the Wild West with presidents. What's happening now. We don't know what Trump is going to do. We don't know, how this transition is going to happen. So this could be a training exercise, but at the same time, they could be collecting and gathering data on how the general public reacts to, what are they calling them? UA, whatever now.
They're not saying UFO anymore. They're saying like UEP, UA, something like that. I forget what it's called.
They want to collect data and see just how reactive people are going to be. The problem is now my wife is a huge stargazer. She could go out and identify constellations. She knows the stars. She watches it close. She knows what is an airplane, what is and I can't pronounce the types of meteors, the Leonids, and all these other things. She knows what all that stuff is. But now you have everyday, regular people who never even look at the sky. Yeah. And they're looking up. Jupiter is shining extremely bright right now next to the full moon. And people are looking at Jupiter and thinking it's a drone and they're shooting at Jupiter. Because these people never looked at the sky before. They don't know what is a plane, a private jet, a commercial jet. It could be your neighbor's drone who's up there just flying around looking at deer or surveying his property.
Could be.
Or looking for drones. I know some drone pilots now that are up there doing their own little, like looking around. So you're seeing real drones. So everything you see in the sky out in Jersey isn't one of the unknowns. You have thousands and thousands of people who own drones, be they toys or bigger commercial ones, and they're up there looking around because they're curious just like we are. So you're seeing regular drones, you're seeing the mystery ones, which are shaped like small airplanes, but you also have small airplanes. And I don't think the average civilian is educated enough to know, is that a drone? Is that a small Piper Cub? Is that the mystery drone? And they're just out there aiming guns at the sky randomly. And there's people saying, I see one over my property, I'm going to shoot it down. It's a federal offense if it is registered. That's a federal offense. And every one of those has cameras.
You have your drone hunting permit, though.
Do they exist?
I'm going to print them tonight and sell them on Amazon.
And that's dangerous. Whenever you shoot up and miss something, that round comes back down.
Like a penny off the Empire State Building.
It's just as dangerous coming back down. So this is a problem in a time of we're celebrating vigilantism.
Yeah.
And,
a little weird.
And you have certain officials, I don't want to say fear-mongering, but they're implying it might be something nefarious.
Yeah, well, definitely, that's the vibe.
And they shouldn't say that until they know. I think our government does know. We have a new branch of the military that's been awfully quiet lately, haven't they? Space Force?
The newest branch added since
they've been awfully quiet. Nobody's saying anything. Do you trust the Pentagon that they're telling you with 100% honesty? Well, we don't know. It's not ours.
Well, why would our government ever lie to us?
You're right. They would never do that.
And what you talked about other countries seeing what we're willing to tolerate. Would they do that with anything else?
When I said other countries seeing what we would tolerate, I was talking about our country.
Would our country ever do that to us to see what else we could tolerate with anything else?
But that's an interesting point. Because that's what I was saying before. I think if those drones are ours, they're collecting data to see how we would react to something unknown.
Which is sort of like a Project Bluebeam.
Which they're going to collect that data and say, you know, if we decide to do a Project Bluebeam, which is a whole other theory, don't know if it's true or not, but it has legs. Will people go nuts? Will they just believe it? Will they cower? But it made me think of something else. Other countries are watching us right now.
Of course they are.
And they're seeing how people react. And we are known, you know, there was a general in World War II said we would never attempt a boots on the ground attack on the United States because behind every blade of grass stands an American who is armed.
Yes.
And that's in addition to their military. So now other countries are watching us and saying, what are they doing? Are the citizens going to take it up themselves? Is the government going to do anything? What's happening? There needs to be some more transparency with this. I've never could have imagined something like this would happen in this country, and it just be like, well, we don't know, but we're not going to do anything about it.
Well, I love their answers. Like they really do think we're all morons.
They know.
They think they go,
They
well, it's
absolutely know
not
what it is.
foreign, but it's not ours. Well, then what is it? Give me an answer. And the only reason why they want you to get to the point of it being a foreign country like China is the weather balloon, Chinese spy balloon incident from a few years back. Remember that?
Yes.
And the fact that it's in New Jersey. Trump has a lot of golf courses in New Jersey, especially what those drones were. Some would maybe get to the conclusion that they're mapping that out because remember, Iran directly threatened Trump. They said they were going to kill Trump. This is kind of why you might go to it's Iran. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's China or something.
Why would our government not acknowledge that? When they were able to find a pet squirrel upstate New York.
This is what I'm saying.
But they can't find out who's operating hundreds, if not thousands of drones off our
the size of minivans.
The size of minivans, and they can't.
We're murdering pet squirrels, but not shooting down nefarious drones. What's going on?
They know.
But what's going on then? What is this?
They won't tell us.
I need to know. I need to know. Now, here's what I think. Have you ever been around like a toddler that doesn't really...
What's that like?
Well, I'm going to tell you how toddlers are because I have the mentality of a toddler.
I've been around toddlers lots.
When I do my magic tricks for my fiance, she's not impressed. But when I do them for a toddler, like when I make the pen disappear in my sleeve, they think I'm actually magic.
You are magic.
And toddlers, you pull a banana just out of your ear, and you go, whoa, and they go, oh my God, you're magic. That's what our government thinks we are. They go, oh shit, what do we do? We got to pull this off before the inauguration. How do we distract them? It's like, what if we just had a rattle?
There are many people who are like that.
They go, look, drones in the air, and we go, oh. And what we aren't seeing is,
have you seen the political rallies?
I have. What we aren't seeing with the rattle that is now drones and Daniel Penny and Luigi, these are the rattles. What we aren't seeing as toddlers is 1,500 presidential pardons.
Sleight of hand.
We aren't seeing the regime change in Syria that nobody gives a shit about. We aren't seeing anything about Russia or Ukraine. I haven't heard anything in weeks about that. I haven't heard anything about Israel in a long time. We aren't seeing the certain people that are going to be completely expunged from any, prosecution, which is probably going to be, Fauci, Milley, a couple other people, on the list.
There were some I expected.
You're not seeing any of that because what are you worried about? You're worried about Christmas. You're worried about the scary aliens in the sky. You're worried about vigilantism. I feel these are all just rattles, and they're actually intelligence insulting rattles, where it's actually like, look, drones, and we all go, ooh. Like, it's almost worse than bread and circuses and the Super Bowl and all that crap. It's almost like, hey, look, a flying alien. And we go, oh, and we're just staring at it, and we don't even realize everything that's going on during this crucial regime change in the United States. I feel we are handing Trump in 2025 a country that is completely beyond repair. I feel that might be what's going on. I don't know why that may be.
You feel as though something is being sabotaged. Things are being sabotaged.
I do feel a self-sabotage is going on. I don't know why else we would give long-range...
sabotage our own country, though. These are Americans. They may not be on the same side as others, obviously, but Do they want to sabotage it? Why would they do that?
Would a lame duck president with 2 months left ever give long-range missiles to a country to fuel proxy war further when the next guy's talking about peace talks? Does that make sense?
When you say it like that, no.
It's odd to me. Now, I don't care if you like Trump or love Biden or whatever. I don't care. This is a neutral show. But it is odd that all this is happening. And you have to just say it's odd. And it's not a bad thing to say it's odd. It's not a bad thing to say that I want the spicy nuggets because the sign says you have them. It's not a sin.
Sense.
Tell me.
The pardons. I get the Hunter pardon.
Well, it's only 1,500.
I get the Hunter pardon. It's his son.
That's
if
his
you
boy.
had a son, you would do it. I think they should still investigate it and release the findings, even if they're not going to charge him or sentence him.
He's got a Trump card. It's nothing.
I know they can't, but there should be, there should be a law that says at least, if stuff comes up,
We want to know.
at least, make it public, be transparent. What I don't understand is, we're going to talk about this one first. The Judge Conahan, they commuted his sentence.
Local guy.
Local guy who was charged, and he pled guilty to the Kids for Cash scandal, where they invested heavily in these juvenile prisons and benefited financially. For the more kids they sentenced to do time there, they benefited from that financially. So you have a kid who maybe vandalized a bridge, maybe had a half a gram of weed on him. Instead of giving him 100 hours community service, he puts him in this jail where they are brutalized by more hardened juvenile criminals, where some of them couldn't handle the stress, and they were by and large good kids. Kids get in trouble, kids get mischievous. Community service, absolutely. Locking them up for months and months and months on end with other criminals. These kids were wrecked for life, and some of them commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy pled guilty to it. He was sentenced to 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you lighten his sentence? For what reason? I don't understand that. And if he is going to pardon somebody like that, I feel as though he should answer. I feel as though maybe the guy, if he said I wasn't guilty, and it was kind of like, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but this was cut and dry. This was cut and dry.
And that's just one of so many.
And the other one that really stuck in my craw was the Shanlin Jin pardon. He was a guy from China who had close to 50,000 images of, I don't know how to say this on YouTube, child stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Porn. As young as infants. Infants being S-a'd. Blank assaulted.
I didn't even hear this one.
Infants, videos, images. And he just said, I'm going to pardon him.
No explanation.
No explanation. At least at first, I didn't know. And then, a lot of people came forward because I announced my disgust with the whole thing at work. I talked to tons and tons of people, and someone said, well, he traded that person for 3 Americans that are being held, suspected spies, American spies that are being held in China. So he actually did a good thing, because we're going to get 3 Americans back. And when this guy goes to China, they're not going to handle this type of crime lightly over there, which we don't know that. And I don't care about that. What makes me wonder, we have 3 spies over there. Does the president just look and say, okay, you got 3 of our guys? I know. We'll give you the guy with 50,000. We'll give you the pedophile with 50,000 images on his hard drive. Isn't there something else he could have offered them? Other people we have in custody? Do we only have one Chinese guy who's a pedophile? Couldn't you have gone to the stock room and said, yeah, pedophile? No, you're going to stay right here. Okay, this guy, he shoplifted, or he stole a car, or imported knockoff purses from China, copyright infringement, something like that. Why say, oh yeah, the pedophile? Yeah, you could go.
Well, I'll explain. Because this same administration traded the most notorious arms dealer in Russia for a woman basketball player. You remember this?
What does that have to do with this one?
We're not good at trades.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you trade? What was his nickname? Do you remember his nickname? He had a terrible nickname. He was the most notorious arms dealer of all time in Russia. We traded him for a WNBA player.
Was he the guy, the movie, the Art of War? Not the Art
There
of
was
War,
a movie.
the Nicolas Cage movie.
There was a movie based off this man. We traded him for a WNBA player. I'm just saying, we're not good at trades.
We're not.
We're not good at equal trades. We're not good at trading. But, yeah, these pardons are a little odd, but that's just one of the many things you're not noticing because of the constant distractions.
Lord of War was the Nicolas Cage movie. I think that was loosely based on that.
The arms dealer, and he's back in Russia now, so that's good. It's good that he's back.
So I know people are quick to say, look, we got 3 Americans back. That is phenomenal. I'm thrilled to hear that. I think we could have offered them something else besides one of the most heinous acts a person could do on this planet is to harm an infant or children in general, but like infants.
I know.
Like,
but see, you just said that. I didn't even know that was going on, but most people have no idea that was going on.
no,
they have no idea.
You're not going to see that on
they
Good
don't
Morning
cover
America.
that. They don't cover that in The View.
That wasn't on Good Morning America or any of the local stations. But you got to dig and like I said, I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV anymore. When I go home, I sit at the dining room table, have a little dinner, and I just look at different news sources. I don't believe, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I enjoy reading them. And
Me too.
Some of them hold water and some of them are absolutely fucking ridiculous. But it's entertainment. I think we discussed this on a previous podcast where I said it's like watching wrestling. You know it's fake, but you watch it because it's entertaining. But when you read different news sources from different countries and different articles and different papers that are released from our government where it's actually coming from the White House, it's just not aired on news channels. There's a lot of news to cover. We're talking about drones right now.
I know. It's so quick. It's hard to even.
It's
like, I guarantee half of this will be forgotten by New Year. We won't. Remember the drones? Remember that Luigi guy? It'll be a flash in the pan. You won't even remember it.
And how did I get into this habit? I bought out a barber shop in Hershey years and years ago, and he said, "You follow sports? You follow politics?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't do either of those things." He goes, "You got to start," and I'm like, "I hate sports." He said, "What you got to do then is every morning at least read the headlines in the newspaper." Whether it's sports, politics, local, national, state, and at least have an idea. So when customers come in and they say, "Hey, did you hear about the Yankees last night?" Or, "Hey, did you see what Harrisburg did? Did you see what happened in Philadelphia?" You're not like a complete idiot. You can talk about different things. Now, we don't get newspapers anymore. Everybody gets their news on the phone. So I look at what's hot, what's trending in different news websites. So I try to familiarize myself with all the news stories. So I have a loose idea of what's happening. But that used to take 10 or 15 minutes, 30 years ago. Now
it's 10 seconds.
You go down these rabbit holes. You're looking at news articles and news sources, and then trying to validate. Is this source for real? And you're checking this and going to this source and to this source. Next thing you know, you're 4 hours deep into research. And that's how quickly things are happening now.
It's crazy. And I think that's a problem too, though, because everything gets lost. You don't ever focus on anything. Like, these grand things happen, and then they're this last week's news, and you forget about it. But that's why we have this show. At least we're talking about it, and we're not big enough to get canceled or anything like that yet. So let's keep it going. We have freedom of speech here. We could talk about this. These are just theories. That's all it is. We're just talking. And it's not a crime to talk. Right?
Some people don't know what freedom of speech is.
Well,
you know that?
We do.
They don't know what it is. They think, I can put this on my Facebook, freedom of speech. No. That's not true. You're using somebody else's platform.
Yeah.
And if they don't like that, for whatever reason, if it violates the terms of service, they can and will take your post down or shut your page down. Freedom of speech is you cannot go to jail for expressing your opinions on something. But people think, oh, I could say what I want, how I feel about this administration or the next administration. Freedom of speech, freedom of speech. It's my page. I can do what I want. No, that's not what freedom of speech is.
the best thing about freedom of speech is it's always countered by better speech. So if there is bad speech, it will always get filtered out by better speech if you allow for freedom of speech to go on. So with that point being said, if somebody is saying something that is just incorrect or wrong, if you let enough people correct that, it will get filtered out. I just don't like when people and entities decide to filter it out in a paternalistic way, where they're like, let me be the father and tell you what you ought to talk about and what you ought not to talk about.
To steer certain narratives.
Yeah, they're shifting it. Just let it happen naturally. I'm telling you, anyone who is an asshole will get found immediately and sent out of the pack. It's just how it works.
There's freedom of speech, but there's also freedom of consequence.
There's always consequence.
But there is consequence that will...
you can say whatever you want, but we're going to say something back. We're always going to catch you if you're bad. And if we say anything wrong on this show that or something that's not true, you'll correct us, hopefully, in the comments, and then that's called open discussion.
I'm just a barber. I'm wearing a penguin hat. I see a lot of dumb stuff.
Me too.
We hope it's entertaining.
This is entertainment, just for the record. This is all entertainment.
It's entertaining for me.
Entertainment for me too.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? I was yelling that at Walmart the other day.
Can you imagine being in the Coliseum and you got your shield and you got your sword and you got this? I know it's a mini skirt, but it's like pretty badass looking because
it's like leather,
gladiator, and you're wearing a penguin hat and you got to fight a lion.
Kind of cool.
Can you imagine?
Kind of cool. You know, they'd be like, "What is that Arctic animal?" You know, they wouldn't even know. They didn't know. We're living in the Coliseum right now. This is the modern day Coliseum, and we are all entertained. Trust me, we can't go a second without being entertained. We can't take a shit without being entertained. We need the constant stimuli every second. So it's like, when's the next Daniel Penny story? Or whatever his name was. When's the next Syria? Where's the next drone? We are hungry for not news, but bad news. That's the problem with us. That's the problem with technology. It's the problem with phones. It's the problem with the algorithm. Are we going to beat that? No. All we can do is try to talk about it in a way that sort of unpacks all this nonsense so that maybe it's more digestible to people that maybe watch it pass by because there's too much going on. We're trying to keep up, but there's 500 stories. I just saw today there were some January 6th files released. Didn't get to look into them too much, so I don't want to talk about them. If you heard something, you could.
I did not.
Okay, there were some videos released and some talk of Agent Provocateur. Maybe that'll be next week's episode.
I did, and you could correct me. I did read something, and there was like 40,000 hours of footage from the January 6th.
A lot of cameras in D.C.
Insurrection. And some papers came out of Washington from the White House. Remember I said there's questionable news sources. It wasn't Babylon Bee or some other goofy site, The Onion. I'm 90% sure this came from the White House, that there were feds in those crowds dressed as Trumpers.
Yes.
And
that is also what I heard.
And I'm not going to even begin to speculate because I know nothing about it.
Same.
But there were at least 12, they said. And why they were in there, maybe just to help protect.
Okay, that's odd, though. Why not just wear your regular uniform if you're a federal agent?
Maybe they felt it would just protect if they wore a MAGA hat and made an American flag cape.
Yeah.
And some red, white, and blue boots.
Now, if I was writing a movie, I would say that was more like a shepherd leading maybe certain sheep to a certain location.
Yeah,
because you only need one shepherd and one sheepdog for a lot of sheep.
And then they follow.
They do follow. So my only little argument there is that maybe the people that brought no weapons and had flags on their back and hats didn't have the motive or intelligence to stage an insurrection unless they had the help of some people that knew the routes and knew the vulnerable gates and knew the doorways and the passages and had the ideas and shouted the loudest. That's my only thing. If I was writing a book or a movie, that would be my little theory.
This could tie into the whole, when do you take matters into your own hands? Were they thousands of acts of vigilantism? People feeling as though they're going to take the law into their own hands, a premeditated act of violence.
Yeah. And if you were going to do that, you'd think you would, I don't know, not be wearing capes that were flags.
Buffalo heads.
You know what I'm saying? Like that guy like prayed in the
Yeah.
Senate. I don't know. This is all
Who
odd.
wears a giant buffalo head? They should have gone in with giant penguin heads.
It would
the
look.
tops
They
of their
would look
heads.
a little more, friendly if they did that. The buffalo is very intimidating.
It was.
I
I didn't
mean,
recognize him without the buffalo head.
I know. I didn't know he'd be bald. It's not bad, but I just didn't expect it. You know what I'm saying? He kind of ruined that because I like that hat. Like I would wear the buffalo hat, but I think he kind of tainted it now. Like you can't wear that now.
Yes, you can.
Can you?
Yeah,
Can you still wear a buffalo?
I don't think it's like the Hitler mustache. Am I allowed to say Hitler?
I think.
Hitler really
You can't wear that anymore.
You can't wear little mustaches anymore.
You can't name somebody Adolf either.
Did we talk about the other person who
We
attempted to wear a little mustache and actually did?
The only one who successfully did was
Michael Jordan.
It's very true, on a Hanes commercial.
That was in a Nike or a Hanes commercial.
For socks.
But he had the little mustache. But nobody wears that anymore. Nobody wants that.
Anywho, to wrap up, everything you know could very well be a lie. And probably is. Would you agree that most things are a lie?
I don't know, lie is a big word. I think information is leaked at a certain rate by, let's just say, the powers that be, information and disinformation, in an effort to steer the ship in a way that they deem is in our best interest. Because the way this country is run, we elect our officials to represent our ideas. We vote for the person we think best represents what we want in our country.
By the people.
By the people. So we elect these officials. They give us information and just enough to steer us. How we interpret that information is a whole different story. And I think a lot of times people misinterpret information. And now we live in an age of disinformation where you have opposite sides who maybe weren't elected into certain seats at certain times who want to steer the ship back this way or that way. So they'll leak disinformation. And I think it's this ongoing information wars, info war.
Oh, no.
I didn't mean to say info
Did we
wars.
just plug info
I'm not
wars?
trying to plug that absolute wingnut.
Yes.
He's entertaining, but he's a wingnut.
Yeah,
But
if we go full crazy, we might end up like him.
that was a weird tie-in, wasn't it?
How did you get to
I don't
InfoWars?
know. It just happened. But I don't know if we're lied to. I think we're given a little thrust this way and a thrust that way. And
Are you saying we're being corralled like sheep?
yes.
Are we
And
all sheep
We are
here?
all sheep in this country. And who's to say whether or not it's for the best to keep us safe? There's things we probably shouldn't know.
I think it would drive everyone nuts.
I think there's people at the very top and deep secret and certain alphabet agencies that know things. And I think that it takes very special people to have that knowledge and keep that knowledge to themselves. Because if the general population had that knowledge, I think there'd be a lot more crazy people out there.
That's what I'm saying. So
and in this
maybe
world of information, the general populace is getting into things they probably shouldn't know.
I think now they are.
Yes.
For the first time in a very long time. And I think this is sort of like a rat race in a maze. I think some people know where the cheese comes from and why you're going for the cheese. I think some people have been outside of the maze and see that it's a maze and they go back into the maze. I think some people will never know they're in a maze. We go back to the allegory. We talk about this all the time, allegory of the cave. To bring it back to rats, it might be just more comfortable for us to just go on with our lives searching for more cheese in the maze.
When you talk about the cave, is it Socrates or Plato's cave? Is that the one you're referring to?
It's Socrates. Plato wrote it. But Socrates.
Explain that for those who may not know about the cave.
So there is an old allegory called the allegory of the cave, in which there are, I think it's 3 men, doesn't matter. There are men chained in this elaborate cave system where all they can view is shadows of objects, sort of like puppets, shining on a cave wall. And these men think that those are the real objects. So if it's say a shadow of a bird, shadow of a boat, they believe that that is what they're seeing.
So they
shadow.
interpreted that information that was presented to them.
Yes, very
Interesting.
clearly for a long period of time. Food was brought to them. They were taken care of, but they were shackled to the wall only to see these shadows that they didn't know were shadows, but that's all they saw. One day, one of them was let out by the powers that control these men. Out of the cave into the sun, eyes hurting, a little delirious. And this man starts to realize that those are just shadows. He sees the sun shining on the tree, he sees the shadow of the tree, he goes, that's not reality at all, what we've been seeing. It's just shadows. This is reality. The man goes back into the cave, tells the other men, we've been living a lie. This is but a shadowed reality. The reality is out there. And the other men thought he was insane. They said, how are you going to tell me that I'm not seeing what I'm seeing? You think you know better than me?
Tinfoil hat guy.
They actually thought this guy was nuts. So the moral of this allegory and the story that was written thousands of years ago was, once you've seen the light, those living in a shadowed reality will think you're crazy. And that's what's going on right now. I hate to say this, but you're living in the allegory of the cave. Once the rat is plucked out of the rat race, seeing the maze, seeing the cheese, seeing those that drop the cheese, seeing where it all leads to, and plucked back in, dropped back in rather, do you think those other rats are going to believe him? Never. We're in the rat race. We're in it right now. Maybe we've seen the maze.
We have a few peaks here and there.
We peaked the maze, but we're still going to keep going, because what else are we going to do?
And that's just
we got to keep running around the maze.
I have I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I go to work every day, no matter who's president, no matter who's vice president, no matter what happens, you just do what you do. We're just curious individuals, and we like to entertain.
Yes. To make the most of it.
We like to entertain things that aren't mainstream. Here's the river flowing. This is where everybody's going. And we go off in these little tributaries here and there. And for entertainment, we like to theorize and look into stuff and entertain things and discuss it and shoot down ridiculous things and maybe applaud plausible things.
100%. And I think that's all that makes it interesting here. That's what makes life interesting here. Now, the only problem is we are rats in this maze, and if we squeak a little too loud, maybe the people in charge of the maze will be upset that we're maybe ruining it for the other rats that are none the wiser of the trickery.
Yeah, they'll give you a little tap with a stick and say, hey, get in line.
If the mouse, you don't want to start squeaking too much.
You don't want to squeak too much.
Squeak a little too much, you might be taken out.
We didn't squeak too much, did we?
We may have squeaked too much, but good thing there's not enough rats listening to us. For now. But maybe one day. I think that's about everything. Before we close up here, to circle back to the first part of the podcast, which was about Christmas, do you think Santa might be, is it plausible for Santa to deliver all the presents if he had drones?
It's plausible, but he won't. It takes away the magic of Christmas.
What if Santa's sleigh was actually called North Pole 1, and he had millions of drones that dropped gifts?
Millions and millions and millions of drones.
Could that be true? And you know how Rudolph had the red nose? Maybe they are like certain flights or motherships are like Dancer, Prancer, Comet, Vixen, and they send out the millions of drones, drop the present off, and return back.
See, there's certain things right there. That's the magic we don't need to see. We were talking about what's leaked to us a little bit and how we're curious. And there's something we shouldn't really look into too much. We should just appreciate the magic, like infants and small children, the pen going up the sleeve.
Yes.
We shouldn't look for how the magic trick is done, but appreciate the magic for what it is. And that is the magic of Christmas.
Yeah. Picasso said it took his whole life to learn how to think like a child again.
Right?
And that's what he said he produced his best work, when he stopped thinking about all the conditioning that was done to him into his adult life. He was void of it all at the end. He was back to his true self without those fake, adaptations he developed over his life. Like, remember when you first started worrying about how you looked?
No.
Look at me.
I
Same
look like
here.
somebody.
Same
I
here.
have a curly mustache and a
I
fucking
mean-
penguin hat.
I mean,
on
the
my
other people out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, remember, like, it's like, oh, you can't do that. You can't say that. You shouldn't do that. You got to wear this. You got to have a nice car. You have to have a family. You have to have the wife. You have to have kids. You got to do this. You have to have a good job. All that gets
head. You
conditioned.
got to fall in line with the rest of those mice.
Yes, you have to walk the line of the maze if you want the cheese. It's all about crumbs on this earth. You collect enough crumbs, it eventually is. It sustains you something. But remember, you didn't think like that. You got to get back to that. And in this festive Christmas season, I think we all are a little bit childlike. You know, we go back to those times when it was good.
Do you ever think about eels?
Never.
Never.
Very rarely.
So this will tie in. We're talking about Christmas time.
This better tie in.
Christmas time and childlike wonder. And eels are a very popular food at Christmas time. When you go to certain places, certain grocery stores and Schiff's Wholesale Foods, they have the Christmas seafood stands out front. Everything's on ice. The baklava, the crab, because a lot of people around here have the
Seven
Christmas
fishes.
the Christmas Eve dinner, 7 fishes.
7 fish.
And one of the fishes often prepared at Christmas time is the eels. But the eels would be in these giant buckets, and they'd be alive, swirling around. They just looked like wet snakes.
Ugh.
And it was fascinating. And you would buy them, and they would like chop them off there and just put it in a bag, and it would be flipping and flapping around. And years later, I came to learn that no scientist has ever seen eels mating or how they mate. Did you know that?
I never.
Nobody even knows exactly where they mate. What they do know is every eel, even North American eels, migrate. And I found this out because I was looking at drone footage of the Susquehanna River about 3 or 4 years ago. I was studying the Susquehanna River because I find it fascinating. The Susquehanna River is one of the 4th oldest rivers in the world.
How do they know? How do they know?
They know.
Rivers don't have birthdays.
It's older than the Tigris, Euphrates, Amazon. I'm talking about, the rivers you read about in the Bible. The Susquehanna is older.
What about the Nile?
I'm not sure about the denial. But because of drone footage, they
Aliens?
saw these structures in the water when the water was clear, and it comes to a point downstream. And what they found was that the Native Americans built these stone structures underwater, and it funneled all the fish into a point where they would have these baskets, and they carbon dated the baskets to thousands and thousands of years ago. And what they were doing were collecting the eels during their migration, and they would salt them, and they would have food for the winter.
No way.
Healthy protein. And I said, well, why are the eels migrating? Where are they going? They travel downstream till they get to the ocean. Then they travel down below the Bermuda Triangle. There's a sea, and I wish I could remember the name of it. It's a big name. That's where the eels mate, and then they travel back
Into rivers?
into the rivers.
Are you serious?
Yes, and there's some instances where they can travel overland into the next body of water if there's some sort of blockage.
So eels should never be consumed because they clearly are some type of alien.
It's a magic snake. It's a wet snake.
And
I wouldn't
why
eat
are
an
they
eel.
why are they electric? Some eels are electric.
Yeah, I think they're the sea one, the salt water maybe.
Is that not
electrifies
weird?
them.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You just believe there's a swimming snake in the water?
Do you
Like,
think
see,
it's electric, or do they just say that because it kind of stings you with its like a jellyfish? Do you think it's actually electric?
don't they have like lightning? Like it looks like they're like lighting up.
Oh, like some of those deep ocean fish that have their own
The bioluminescence.
Yeah, the bioluminescence.
That's a gender.
But anyway, that ties in. It's a Christmas fish.
Christmas fish, electric eel, aliens, Bermuda Triangle, drones, rats, vigilantism. We covered everything.
We covered everything.
This was a great episode, though.
It's always a great episode.
We're going to have Mike the Barber back on regularly if he's willing.
I'm willing, able, and ready.
This is the festive season. To circle back, please watch the beginning of the episode if you want to be festive, and if you have to go back and refer to it, this is the festive time. We should be happy. We'll worry about all the other stuff after January, once the new year's over, and once we watch the claymations a couple more times and eat the leftovers, then we can worry about the drones. But for now, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Whatever holiday you celebrate, may it be merry.
May it be merry. Shout out to, of course, Three Saints Barbershop, the greatest barbershop ever, Jack's Pub and Eatery, and of course, all the loyal listeners to this show. This is the first year of the show existing, so hopefully we only go up from here. Hopefully we never squeak too loud that we get redirected. But for now, things are going smooth. Do you have anything else to say, Mike?
I have nothing to say. Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. Three Saints Barbershop and Shave Parlor in the heart of historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania, and Jack's Pub and Eatery, my favorite place for margarita and wings.
You heard it here. You heard it all here. You'll continue to hear it all here. Thank you, everybody. And as always, stay curious, my friends. Good night.